guys, and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, Unresolved Textual Tension. Today it's Oops, All Girls, no William, and it's every host except William. Welcome to the Three Blondes and the Brunette Show.
Yay!
Today your hosts are me, Maria, and then we have Katie, Elin, and Val. Now you might be saying, why the hell is it everyone but not William? Because
he chose that.
Yes. Well, and also I chose that because we are doing, in honor of my birthday month, a reread of our very first book that we ever did for the channel, which is one of my favorite, if not my most favorite book, called Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. Most of you have probably never even seen that video because most of you probably joined this channel well after that, but it was our first video and I love that book. I haven't read it since we last did it. So we're doing it today, but we didn't include William because he's a potato and he likes to complain about shit.
To spin, to silver.
Yes, to silver.
I actually want to do an original video as well. Yay.
I do want to mention that if anybody goes back to watch that video, please keep in mind, at least from my end of things.
You're so funny. You're just like making faces and like writhing.
Not aware that this was going to be a YouTube series. He told me explicitly, he being William, that this was a podcast. And so I thought, oh, only audio matters. So I'm there sleeping half the time, laying on my knee.
Make like hilarious faces.
I also that was when I smoked a lot before podcast, thinking that would contribute to the critical discussion, and it didn't.
Will also does not like his visuals from that video because he also assumed that it was just going to be audio, and then somehow, please note, the only person who controlled whether it was audio or a video was William, so I don't know how the hell we got from point A to point B. The only person who went, well, if I have to stare at myself for 2+ hours while talking about a book, I might as well look decent, was this bitch right here. I'm not looking at a lifeless face, no way. Anyway, so yeah, we're reading it because I love it. I haven't reread it in a long time. Those of you who watched the first video know that it is one of my favorite, if not my most favorite book of, I would say, the past 10 years. I love this book. I cried rereading it, the last 3 chapters, the wrap-up chapters for all of the main girls. I just cried the whole time through. My boyfriend came out to me on the patio sitting with my teacup, watching the leaves fall from the trees in the cool autumn air and just crying. And he was like, good or bad? And I was like, the best. So I love this book. I can be critical about it. I conceded a lot of points in the first video, but let's start with people. Katie, what did you think of this reread? And then we'll ask our other 2 hosts about their experiences. Because wait, it's a reread for everyone except for Val. Was this was your first time, Val?
This is my first time reading it. Yeah.
Elin, had you read it before?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a great combo. Katie, what did you think on this reread?
Well, I think originally, as Maria recalls, because I can't, like I said, I only live in the now. I have no memory of the past.
That didn't get caught.
Yeah. But I think I disliked parts of this book because of the pacing. There are parts in the pacing that I can see how my past self was very impatient and wanted something very specific, especially considering it has to do with fairies. And I wanted something out of it that wasn't what it was willing to give. But upon a reread, I see that this is more like this is not about a romance. This is way which is what my previous preconception had been way back then. And so that was my expectation. And so that's why I felt very cheated in some places. But now I see this as more of a women empowerment tale. And that is what it is. And beyond 1 or 2 things that I don't even know that I would say is a critique. It's because I think it's so good it doesn't really matter. You know, it's kind of you look at a Picasso and you're like, oh yeah, I could say I don't like that squiggly thing there, but overall it's a Picasso. It's the same thing there.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? It's really good. And I think I can't wait to talk about 3 of my favorite scenes in particular and why I like them. And Maria's right. The ending was really fulfilling and happy making, even though Novik kind of psychs you out on one of the characters up until the very last couple of pages, and you're just like, you. But yeah, no, it was really cozy, and I'll end on this. I've had a really hard 2 weeks. I think probably most likely some of the hardest 2 weeks, not externally, but internally, that I've had in 7 years. And this book has been really helpful in maintaining happiness. So if you too are struggling, this is a great book to find solace in.
You heard it here first. Spinning Silver will make you happy in dark times.
That's me.
Okay, Elin, is this your second time rereading it? Where do you fall on the reread scale?
Yeah. I slipped into Naomi Novik through Aragon. Not Aragon. Temeraire.
Yep.
Well, no. cut the bit where I say Aragon. I don't know
just
Aragon by Naomi Novik.
There's dragons. It's the same thing.
It's all the Colombian cocaine. No, Temeraire. And it was just incredibly charmed by those books. I picked them up only because I was really bored at work. And I was just blown away because Naomi Novik has this really, really entrancing way of telling you a tale and getting you to just go along with it and not think too much. And so the first original time I read Spinning Silver, I had no expectations of what the book would be. And it was delightful. And at the time, I was a cold, hardened, bitter soul. So I thought the ending was a little too sugary sweet. This time around, I believe in life. I see the colors in the rainbow and all that. And I thought it was rather wonderful, actually.
Correct.
Is it my turn?
Yes. Unless. Okay, Val, your first
Maria, you're
read.
our mediator, by the way, if you weren't aware of this.
Yes. Your first read, Val. Give us your thoughts.
I was afraid I was going to be bored by this from, the accusations that have been thrown around in the past. And on the first chapter, I was like, okay, what is this? It's a little slow, but I have read Uprooted before and I did really like it. This was such a just joy to read. It's so cozy, and she's so good at just nestling you in this world, and the routine of it just is so lovely. And I didn't mind any of the slow bits. I thought every time they slowed down to do all these mundane little tasks, I was like, yes, give me more. I love this. She really takes the time to get to know these characters, get to know the rhythm of this life that they're in. And I have a couple complaints about a few things here and there, but like you guys were saying, it just didn't take away from my enjoyment of the experience at all. I was just having fun all the way through. And when I put it down, last night, I finished it off, I did a little, oh, and Kyle was like, oh. I was like, there's oh.
And it finished, and I said to my partner, for the first time in I want to say nearly 7 years, I was like, I really would like to read fan fiction now. It inspires you to want to stay with the characters and get some little things that the author kind of throws at the end, and then you're like, I'd like to see that developed. But as far as what this story is saying, it's over. So of course she doesn't. But
before we get into the plot, I do want to say I really just appreciate how she, after reading so many bad kind of romantasy, modern romantasy books, how she makes these female characters competent, but within the confines of the society that they live in, not just I'm a badass bitch who's going to change the world because girl power. It's no, they have to be really smart about it, and they have to do it within these narrow boxes that they have, and it's so refreshing. Ugh.
Wanda, for example, one of the characters, which we'll get into, it's not that she's particularly smart. She just knows her boundaries, and she says no at a certain point.
That's a great scene.
And that matters.
Yep.
And it's just, like Val said, it's really, really, really heartening to read a story where not just one, not just two, but three female characters have agency in a way that isn't absurd. And I love it.
They feel
real girls. Maria. Go ahead.
They feel like real girls who have been handed some circumstances that aren't always, very beneficial to them. And through their individual personalities and by being good people, like doing good things, having good motivations for their decisions. They just manage to sort themselves out and to better their lives. And it's so rewarding to see. Even Wanda, who is the lowest class sort of girl, who has no education, like a drunkard father who beats her up. And like, for me, it's so incredibly rewarding to see her life progress from hardship to a little smidge of something that is like, she works for everything she gets and she does it so well, and then she gets on and she learns about loyalty and love and friendship and family, and it's so sweet.
It really is. And the other thing that I think we've all touched on is the way education becomes empowerment for these girls, and the way the education of their situations has informed who they are. Miriam's background educates who she is and how she takes through the world and how she develops. Like, they're all smart, but in completely different ways. Irina has been raised in a duke's household as his daughter, and despite him not taking care of her, she ends up becoming very politically savvy and she pays attention. And Wanda is actively educated throughout the story and learns. And it just...
Her in the math stuff with Wanda... Get out of
here.
She learns the numbers magic, and I'm like, my girl, I never learned the numbers magic.
Oh. And she's so proud of herself, too, when she is like,
You know what I think really matters, too, is the passion. Each of these girls, despite their circumstances, has intrinsic passion towards something or motivation. And I think there is something to be said for a lot of protagonists having, unfortunately, depression. And while, as one with clinical depression, that is very much real, it is nice to read about characters that have motivation that empowers them and it pushes them forward in a way that is more inspiring rather than commiserating.
Like, when I was texting Maria just to see when the stream was happening this Saturday, I just kind of started, I was on like chapter 8 or something. And I was like, despite it being, there's like some dark themes in here and it's about cold a lot of the time, but I was like, it feels like a warm blanket in that way. Just that,
it's
like,
so cozy. Like when you hear the term cozy as like a genre, Spinning Silver, I think, is such a good encapsulation of what a cozy fantasy should be, where there is stakes. And in this case, I would say there are higher stakes than you would normally think to have. But, Val, you hit it on the head. Part of it is the magic in the small moments and the mundane descriptions of routine. And because of that, it becomes cozy. And even in the magical things, the characters routinify the magic. And so even when we get to points where the characters are doing incredible things, we've seen them do. I'm going to make this example for when Miriam thinks of what to do in the climax with Chernobog, and how we've seen her do similar things at previous points, like think her way through a problem. So when she does it there, we've seen it in the market. We've seen it with how she approached people. Like, you see her make all of these smart strategic moves at previous points. So when she does it there, it doesn't just feel like, a big modern YA romantasy, like a girl buff moment. It feels like something we've become familiar with, and just so gratifying to see all that.
And it was something that was in her grasp the whole time. Sort of.
Yes.
It is something that came from her, not something the author just had to insert in order for the big baddie to be put down.
100%.
And that is built throughout the book in a very intelligent way.
Katie?
Oh, I was just going to say the same thing that basically you two both summarized. Instead of feeling manufactured, it feels intrinsic. It's the same word I used before, but it does work here. I was going to say it at the end, but I'll probably forget. As a side note, as soon as I finished this book, I was so empowered. Like, I felt so like, Novik, that I started Uprooted, which I have not read, and I hate the audiobook so much. I started listening to it, and I was like, nope, I'll read it. I'll read it.
You know what's funny is I've listened to it so many times now that I actually like the audiobook narrator now, but the first time I listened to it, I was like,
it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve.
It is.
Who reads it?
She has a I don't remember what her name is, but she has an accent, but the problem is less the accent than the way
It sounds like AI.
The way she hits certain words and the way where she puts emphasis in a sentence makes no sense.
It's odd.
And she has a specific rhythm, so the emphasis is always on like the fourth word. No matter what is being said, it's always like the fourth word, and it takes forever for you to get past the point where you hear it, because like a good audiobook, and eventually you do get past it. And now when I think of how Agnieszka sounds, I hear that lady's voice.
Oh,
so
Lord. Okay,
it does eventually work, but you can also just read the book. I've read it and listened to the audiobook. It's great. Either way. Val,
I already bought the audiobook.
Did you listen to it?
I think I mostly read it physically, but I did have like an audiobook that I would turn on. Like, it was a tandem thing, as it usually is with me. Like while I'm like cooking, I'll like turn on the audiobook, but mostly I did it like eyeball style, just because it's easier for me to pay attention to things that way.
I will say this audiobook narrator, fantastic. Great.
Oh my God. Fantastic. Are you kidding me? Fantastic. Beyond fantastic.
Another thing, before we get into the plot, I have to say it's so impressive the way both the audiobook narrator and Novik do the first person thing where there's so many characters and you can tell whose head you're in. Like, I thought I was gonna struggle, but I was like, and there were a couple times where I was like, okay, this is who we are. Like, the context of like the way they think and everything just is so well like informed on the page. It's so impressive.
You know who impresses me the most is Stepan, actually.
Honestly, you could always tell he's got such a good child voice.
Yes, she does a really good job at the overthinking of a child, and it automatically pings my childhood trauma voice, especially this one part where, you know what's great is that sometimes you ask yourself why a character does what they do. Like, what's the value in doing that? Where's the motivation? How can you empathize with this other character even though you don't care about them actually? Meaning the character themselves. But Stepan is in that position twice, and it comes up in a very specific moment too. Stepan's a child character that we'll get into. But the point is you get a scene where you're like, why would Stepan do what he's about to do? And he says to you, the reader, exactly why he does it. And it makes so much sense because he's reasoning to himself, I have to make a choice. Why? What am I going to do when I make this choice? And all it comes down to is, I don't want to make another person unhappy because I love them. And that is so basic for so many people's decision making. And I believe in it. And it's very believable. And I really liked that.
I would also, 100%, especially with, I was going to say the same thing, Katie, that Stepan is so well done as a character voice. And he does this repetitive thing where he'll phrase a sentence and then he'll slightly rephrase it to get the second meaning he's trying to get.
Yes.
And it is beautifully done at multiple points. And I actually really, and like all the Stepan slander in the original fucking video, so much Stepan slander. I love Stepan, and I actually...
Did I even say anything?
Yes,
in regards
you had Stepan slander. You said he shouldn't have been a POV character.
Well,
it was surprising because he was the very first one that was sort of out of you know, the three girls sort of thing that we got used to. So I was like, oh, but very quickly we got other ones too, and I was like, it worked. I liked him a lot. And there was there's one scene where I was like, I kind of wish we had this from a different perspective character, like a big moment. But I also kind of see the value in him being a perspective character on that, just because of how straightforward he is in thinking and how he sees the room is very interesting.
I think I know exactly what
that's the scene I was talking about before.
Because, that's the scene where I also was like, why are we like, and that was something Will said.
Better, if it was someone else, even like Wanda's perspective or something. But I understand there is
the magic.
Yeah.
It's the magic of the moment, through a child's eyes and through the emotionality, which is not a word, but whatever, of his of his perspective and the heaviness of it. I think that allows for, and also he's like you, the reader.
Yeah, because he has no idea what any of these pieces are doing.
So it's better.
And he just is looking at the whole scene without, because like if it was, I would say Wanda is the second best choice, or would be potentially the best choice, because I think Irina would be she doesn't come until too late. She's 2 in her own situation. Miriam's 2 in her own situation.
Yes.
And so Stepan or Wanda's and I enjoy the childlikeness of what he does. I think adds a lot. But I would say this book is like a masterclass in first person, in how to make your first person narration unique, how to use it in a way that gives the characters life and depth. One thing, and I think we've all said it at some point, first person can be very I was going to say vanilla.
Overwhelming.
No, vanilla, where like everything just is the same. When you have first person narration, you can pick up a book, and the way it is written, it could be any of these characters could be giving you this narration. It's not unique to the character. If we've said before, it kind of feels like an easy way out instead of doing a third person.
I always think it's so overwhelming.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why
it's
I always
hard to
feel
do
like
well.
Yeah, that's why I say overwhelming. I always feel like it's so hard to be able to provide a personality that's distinct enough to
But it's also
shine
very
through.
easy for, people to just sort of write blandly, like self-insert kind of like.
And then the reader can then lay themselves onto the character, and that's a huge problem. And you're completely correct, Katie. They become very bland, and it's hard to get personality. And yet, with a ton of different characters, can I also shout out Menoetius? His chapters are such a different style and
I love his chapters so much. We should get into it before we get ahead of ourselves. We're front loading.
We're 23 minutes in.
Let's because we need to introduce the characters. We need them.
But masterclass, if you want to write first person and you're like, how do I make it unique? I'd recommend absolutely look at this book. Okay. The premise. Who wants to premise us?
Not me.
Val, this was your first time. Premise us.
I feel. Come on, Maria. You're succinct with this.
Maria,
you can do it.
Unless Elin wants to do it.
No.
Okay. So this story is a fairy tale inspired story that is set in kind of a Slavic, Russian, Polish analog.
I'd say Polish more so.
Polish,
only because
I would say Polish. And it is the main fairy tale that it's drawing from, but it draws from a lot, and specifically the like Slavic fairy tale characters and lore is Rumpelstiltskin. And specifically how that fairy tale mirrors the way people treated Jews very badly, where the moneylender Rumpelstiltskin wants more, and like the main character is able to like get out from having to repay the moneylender. And this story is couched in 3 characters who each have a different part they're playing in the tale. Our first main character is Miriam. She comes from a Jewish family who lives in a village that they're the only Jewish people in this village. They're looked down upon, and her father is a bad moneylender in the sense that he lends money and he never collects it. They're very poor.
He's too kind.
Yeah, nobody respects them. And this story is kind of how she takes over as the moneylender and brings her family up. And by doing so and bragging about turning silver into gold, she gets the ire of the local fae creatures, which are the Starik, who hear that she turns silver into gold, and they're like, we want that. And she goes off on an adventure. The second main character is Wanda. She is a girl in the same village as Miriam. Her father is a drunk. She has 2 younger brothers, and they live a very hard, poor life. And she ends up working for Miriam. And through Miriam and her family, Wanda becomes educated, learns more, and learns how to connect with people on an emotional level that she was very cut off from. And like her journey is like finding family and also learning how to love her brothers, who she barely has a relationship with at the beginning. Katie, were you going to say something? I saw you did.
Oh no, I was just gonna say the power of love.
The power of love.
I wasn't gonna say anything. I was just thinking it really hardcore. I was like, through and Miriam's family provided the power of love, and through the power of love, Wanda learned to love herself.
Yes. And then our third main character is Irina. She is a duke's daughter for this little for the town that the other two live in is a little town off of this big city where the Duke is, and Irina is she ain't that pretty. Her dad has never really invested much into her. She thinks she's gonna have to marry an old man one day when her dad finally decides to do something with her. But she's smart. She's educated herself. Pragmatic. She's educated herself with her father's library, and due to some things that happen, she ends up being put in a position where she marries the Tsar, and now she's Tsarina. But oh no, the Tsar has a fire demon in him named Chernobog.
And he wants to eat her real bad.
Hijinks ensue. That's the premise. Congratulations, you've been premised.
And thereby comes the funniest joke in the entire book. We'll get to it later. It's Mernatius.
He is He's funny.
So funny. I love him so much.
And also, can I tell you that scene where he cries? Oh man.
Oh my god.
My heart. My heart.
You know what? What really for those of you who have not read the book, what really kills it is that he laughs before he cries, and it's obviously a laugh that he's not been able to laugh in probably ever. And
we'll
so
get to the
have
scene when we get there, but
to have that scene in particular really hit me hard, because to have a partner, and even if it's not a proper partner that you're intimate with, but to have a partner that you can laugh with, is really special. And to have that moment where you can break and actually find humor in something with somebody, there's a certain level of trust to share humor with someone. And so that's an extension.
That he could really unmask himself finally before her.
We should get into it through the plot, though, you guys. So it's not.
Okay.
Val's just like, come on, you freaking idiots. Hurry up.
Or everyone always complains that, we get ahead of you. We jump.
So this book starts from Miriam's point of view, and it is her telling us about the fairy tale that everybody in her town tells badly, and tells the wrong version, and she of course is referring to the Rumpelstiltskin fairy tale, and she says it's actually just a moneylender who like a girl wanted to get the boyar to marry her, so she put on nice clothes, did the whole thing, but then the boyar just took her to bed and didn't end up marrying her, and now she has to pay it back, and to get out of paying it back, she demonizes the moneylender, who is then chased out and becomes a villain in the story. And Miriam feels it because people told the story to within earshot of her and her family, because they are the Jewish moneylenders. They are the Rumpelstiltskin of this town, despite the fact that her father has given a lot of them money and none of them have paid it back. And he only ever goes to get any money if they are in such dire straits that like someone may starve to death. And like
he is the worst moneylender,
absolute pushover,
ever.
Yes.
He's very irritating at the beginning. Towards the end, he does acquire your
In the beginning, you sort of keep asking yourself, why is this man a moneylender when he so clearly does not have the steel in him to even ask for what is due to him? And how impotent is he to let his family suffer? Because we get these really Naomi Novik-esque, like really mundane descriptions that really show you how they're struggling, because he just won't face people.
Yep.
And it is explained, like, I think pretty well early on, because Miriam's mother's father, her grandfather, is a very, very good moneylender in like in the city, north in my head, but I don't know where it is. And it's explained, like me and my mom, we could have gone to live with my grandfather. We could have left Dad like, you know, he wasn't good at his job, but we stayed because we loved him.
Yep.
And like you could just feel like the family bonds like between them.
Yeah.
So it's very well illustrated.
Yeah, and I also feel like how love can be almost like a shackle. Like love of family can sometimes be a shackle when the family isn't functioning well.
Yeah, and one big thing that really highlights from what Val said is that it says when she says, we could have stayed with my grandfather, it was comfortable, there was plenty of room, but her father hunted all day to try to find food for them. He whittled away at night to try to make things for them. Yes. And so he tried his best, but he just... And I can kind of give that, like back in my customer service fearful days where I was fearful of answering a telephone, like... I could see how being fearful, and not just that, but later on, once Miriam is apt at doing her job of money collecting, people start hating them again, like the Rumpelstiltskin-esque character, and they become evil in their eyes. And I could see how perhaps he was fearful of, in a small place where they were the only Jewish people, that he was scared that if he was a good money lender, then maybe his family would suffer. So it's kind of a hard situation.
It is. And he's a good dad, but while simultaneously being a terrible dad in the way of making sure your family has enough to eat. But he's very loving the families, and he wanted to be a priest. He was kind of like, not a priest. Oh my God. He wanted to be a rabbi. And he ended up being kind of forced into an apprenticeship with a local moneylender. And that's how he ended up in this position. I also want to shout out something that Katie mentioned this in the first video, and I'll just make a quick note of it here. The way that Judaism is used in this book is fantastic. It's so not like a paper layer, like it's not just like a gilding onto the story. It permeates who Miriam is and who her family is and how they interact with things, and it's really well done. It honestly, fantastic.
I especially love the way like Wanda interacts with it, and Wanda and Stepan, like throughout the story, like there's like a little bit of confusion, like I don't understand this cultural thing that you're doing, but the warmth of the family that they get through it, you're right. It just it permeates the story in such a meaningful way. It's not just like a set dressing.
Yes,
it even gets reflected in their clothing. Sometimes there's a few little like just toss points of not just clothing, but also Isaac, which we'll get to. But it's really well done.
Yes, and it works really well. But so Miriam and her family not doing great. It's winter. Winter actually should be turning to spring, but the winter winds are not backing down. And one of the problems in their area is there are these creatures called the Starrick. They are fae, but in like ice way, like they're icy winter people, and they during winter will come off of the Starrick Road, and there will be hunting parties that will come and steal people's gold and do not great stuff. The Starrick be out here like Vikings,
they take women. They hunt all the white furred creatures. You're not allowed to hunt the white furred creatures. It's theirs.
When the fuck did you get here? Oh my God, you scared the crap out of me. I turned and there was a dog.
You act like there's a gremlin there. Oh my God, but I guess it is.
He is a gremlin. Want to come? You can sit with me.
Can you just pick him up already?
Yeah, I got him. But anyway, and the Starrick within the forest, anything that is pure white, you can't. So if it's a pure white tree, a pure white animal, you can't do it. That you can't hunt it or chop it down. That's the Starrick stuff, and they will fuck you up if you mess with it. In this particular winter turning into spring, that is not actually turning to spring, Miriam decides she's become very cold. She's watched her mother. Her mother's ill and has been getting really sick. And her dad isn't doing anything about it. And she hardens. Like the way it's described is... Katie's badum so many times. She kind of becomes cold within herself that allows her to go out and do her father's job. She takes out his ledger. She looks at all of it. All of his numbers are good. He marked everything.
by the way, that scene is almost exactly the same. If you are ever curious, Will and I do a comparison between the writing differences in the novelization versus the short story of this tale. But this scene is really, really like goes hard. It's because she's like, I don't even remember what it says, but it's like, I took the ashes out of the flame and made ink out of it or something like that. And then she's just like, and then I made a ledger. And it's just like, it's that moment in a movie where it's like, but it's an Iron Man theme. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that was not
like when he's building his suit.
Yes, that's what her scene is there.
I really like the subtlety of the moment that pushes her into this kind of action, also being that her mum is sick. She has a real, like, deep chest sickness, and she's coughing and she's getting weaker. And one evening she sits her down and says, Miriam, your grandfather will take you in. And what the mother never says in that scene is, when I die, go to them, they will take you in. And Miriam at that point just goes, hell no.
Not today. Not today, Satan. And she does it, and it is like they're poor, so she doesn't have ink. She has to take it from as Katie said, the ash from the fireplace, and she goes and she collects, and she's like, this is how much. And she said nobody had ever yelled at her. Her parents were very kind, soft-spoken people, and she just sat there as all these villagers yelled at her, and she's like, you can pay me now a little bit, or I can take it to the law. And like my books, and this is something that comes up multiple times. She's like, my books are clean. And people start paying her. The people who can't pay it off immediately start paying her in little amounts. She starts taking goods. If they can't give her money, she'll take goods and then take off their debt, the amount that she can sell it for, or she would be able to. And so she's able to get some money. She gets some wool. She gets some things, and she goes home. And she went to this one lady and got like a chicken and a bunch of things. And she goes home and she's like, Mom, dinner. And her mother and father are like, oh no. And her mother, this starts the period of time where her mother cries a lot because she sees the hardening of her daughter and the coldness that has come into Miriam that has allowed her to do this.
I want to say that's very gratifying. There are several books, including ACOTAR, where there are parents where a child or somebody that's our main character has given a sacrifice and it's not acknowledged, and it's very frustrating to not have it acknowledged, but it is acknowledged here, and it's very realistically acknowledged. Her parents have private conversations between each other that Miriam's not supposed to hear, that it's saying, like her mom's saying, how could you have allowed it to get to this point where our daughter is the one that is now responsible and she's now hardened herself. It takes a minute to get to that point, but having their reactions like this where they're both begrudgingly pleased with her but also very disappointed, not in her but in the situation. And it's so great to see loving parents portrayed this way instead of just poor me, because then it just becomes a constant fest of like, I don't know, you guys maybe have better words for it, but it's very frustrating to read those novels.
No, I think it's a really realistic portrayal, and I so love the way that like Wanda is introduced in this, because we're in Miriam's perspective first, I think, and she goes to her Wanda's father's house, who is a drunk, and he owes them money, and he has a specific thing where he's like, you can't get blood from a stone, I think it is. Like, he just doesn't have the money, and Miriam's like, this is gonna be a dick move for me. Like, I don't want to have to, like, if I give this man any leeway, though, no one's going to take me seriously. Yep. I have to do something. So he's like, she like sees his daughter like strong as hell, like carrying big old buckets or something. And she's like, she's going to come work for my family until your debt's paid off. See you tomorrow, lady. And she's off. And it's so good. And you can tell, like, she's like, morally, I don't like this, but I need to do this. Like, yeah.
But she sees that they have nothing. Like, there is nothing around the kid. Like, Stepan's a skinny kid. Like, there's nothing here to take. And part of this is because Wanda's father is an absolute potato who wasted. He got 6 silver kopecks, which is a ton of money. And he wasted 4 of them on drink and gambling. So this is what he owes. And the other 2 he used to get medicine for Wanda's mother, who has since passed. And so he put their family into such a debt. He took more than he needed, and he wasted it just utterly. And that's how he is with anything. Any extra money is just wasted on alcohol. But it is such a great scene because you see that hardness in Miriam. But yeah, so Wanda, this is the first chapter we get out of Wanda's perspective where she starts working for Miriam. And
can I say real fast? It's great because we, like the reader, are led to believe, oh, this is going to suck for Wanda. And then we go into Wanda's perspective and she's like, hell yeah.
Yeah, she's like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because she doesn't have to be at home with her father. They feed her. Lunch when she's there, like when they're eating, they make a bowl for her, and she's like, what is this? She thinks of them as devil worshippers because they're Jewish in this like Christian town. And she's like, they're really nice for devil worshippers.
So funny.
And she's super competent because that's all she knows how to be. But she's competent in a very practical, like no frills sort of way. I'm later going to make, there's a great parallel between Margreta and Wanda that I think is absolutely beautiful, and we'll get to that. But she's so practical in how she does it. And so getting like because Miriam is very like matter of fact with Wanda, but then her parents are like, Wanda, take a rest. You've been working so hard. Here, eat. And Miriam's like, that's a chicken. This is how much this costs. We're just feeding everyone. And so, did a dog just fart on you?
Yeah, he breathed on me. His breath is so rank right now. I don't know what he just ate because it was not like this before, but it is so wretched.
Like a carnival.
Yeah. Also, as a side note, all I saw was Elend's drink get finished. And then I saw all of a sudden it was filled again, and I was like, "Is this an ever-filling cup?
I feel like
where did she refill it? Did I miss that?"
It's my cup of plenty. Can I also say with Wanda how nice the parallel is? I had a thought. Oh yes, that she is not only practical. She has found that in order to stay in her father's house and not have to marry or be, as she puts it, be sold by her father, because her father, everything is wasted on him, like money, love, loyalty, anything. So he just wants to sell her for a drink or something. Like, he does not see any value in her. So the way she has made herself valuable to him is to be strong and to be physically handy. Like, she can carry things, she can fix things, she can sew, she knows how to do the hard labor that women, like even peasant women sometimes struggle with. Like, she is big and strong. And that is such a nice parallel to how Miriam has sort of conditioned herself to be useful to her family.
Yep. And that's the thing is these 3 girls that we're gonna get have all like had to do something like this for themselves. And again, Margreta is going to be a great example of another character who had to be useful, who had to find a way to make space for herself within the life that she had. It's really awesome. And I think that their chapter when they're all in the woods together is a perfect example of why Wanda is not a wasted point of view character. William, you absolute fucking potato.
With the tapestry.
Oh my God.
Well, but can I, it's so funny. There's like this great bit when Wanda's like is still kind of first working there, and Miriam is like, this is how you do math, like drawing.
Oh my God,
like,
I was going to say this. I'm so glad you are.
And then Wanda is like, the Jews are teaching me magic. They're strange witchcraft. Yeah. It's just numbers.
And she also learns she teaches her how to read as well. So again, there's that emphasis on education and like enriching yourself through learning.
But it also shows the empathy that Miriam actually has, because without these little breadcrumb pieces of empathy that you see for Miriam, later on the choices she decides to make would not make too much sense. But what it shows is that despite her hardness that she shows to most people due to the requirement that it is for her to be a moneylender at this point, she still has a heart of gold, one might say.
One would. And I also think it's really well contrasted, or not contrasted, but like it works well against her grandfather, who, and the reason she actually starts teaching Wanda more is because she goes to her grandfather in the city and she's like, I'm a moneylender now, Pop. And he's like, bitch, this is
so
great. I'm
you.
so proud, because there was no one else in his family of the men that wanted to take up the thing. And he was like, here is a grandchild worthy.
Isn't it so
ignored
refreshing?
her all the previous portion of her life, because he knew that anything he gave into her, like the money, because he sent his daughter with a huge dowry, and Miriam's father wasted it all, giving it to other people and never collecting any of it back. And so her grandfather was like, I will not invest anymore into this family because I know who your father is. But then once Miriam kind of takes it up, he was like, I will invest in you, girl. You are a worthwhile investment. And he's so proud of her. But what were you going to say, Katie?
All I was going to say is, isn't so gratifying, though, also, because you already have her mother and father who obviously love her. So you have that emotion that helps you as a reader read about her sacrifice and be like, yes, somebody understands the sacrifice that she's made. But then to see her being celebrated and because of her success is incredibly gratifying.
Mm-hmm. It is. And her grandfather's
even sweeter, too, because she's a girl. And there's that unspoken that, her place is kind of to be married and instead her grandfather is just like opening up his home and his arms to her. And he's like, yes, girl, you're useful. I'm going to teach you the things.
And he does. He's like, you don't collect the money anymore, my girl. You get yourself a desk so people come in and they have to stand while you sit behind it. And you get yourself a servant who goes and collects the money. And our girl Miriam is like, I already have one of those and she's real great. And so that's why she starts teaching. And but he also, there's this point where he gives, and it's going to happen in a scene we're going to describe, but her grandfather gives some money to the servants that were helping Miriam with a particular task. And she was like, the thing is always, the vibe of it, this isn't what he said, but like always tip your people well. You want them invested. You want to take care of them. They will take care of you. And it is reflected in kind of how she begins to like invest into Wanda more. And it just, so good.
Which, Maria, does that not remind you of my grandfather, or does it not remind you of my grandfather? Despite his faults, like, he always tips really well, because he's like, you tip somebody really well because then they take care of you. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, or like the equivalent of that.
Or if they know you'll take care of them, they'll get that. And it is. And that's definitely the vibe there. But on her way back, so she's had this great experience with her grandfather. Her grandfather's showing her off. She's going back to her little town with her mother. And her mother is like pissed. Not pissed, but like, again, disappointed, sad. And she yells at her mother. Or doesn't yell, but she has an outburst, and she's like, what more do you want? I have literally turned silver into gold to support our family. Please note, they're in the woods. They're traveling on the road in the wilderness. The woods are right there. Again, the woods are owned by the Stark.
Well, the Stark are listening.
They're just literally behind the trees, just like, I wonder what these mortals are saying.
Gold. As I mentioned before, they're really into gold. They steal people's gold. And she's just like, I have done all of this. I have changed silver into gold for our family, and you cannot be happy with it. And unbeknownst to her, as we said, heard by the Stark, she goes home, and the Stark Road is very close to her town. Wanda has been, helping out. They find weird footprints around the house, and eventually the Stark Lord shows up at the doorstep and leaves a bundle of silver, and is basically like, you have to turn this into gold. Congratulations. And they're like, oh shit,
Can I just say, I immediately got like sort of derpy vibes from the Stark King. Like immediately he just kind of like comes across like, I don't really want to be here. Like I'm like irritated that I'm here. Like it's very like, I don't know. It seems like some people didn't get that right away, but I was like, this guy is just kind of a dork. And then later, like when it like kind of comes back around, and I was like, yeah, you're just kind of a dork.
He really is, especially when you get the context that he's working from culturally. Another shout out that we said in the first video that I'll say here: great non-human fae creatures. They have a
he is weird, yeah, and like very otherworldly. He's not a sexy fae. He's like got icicles coming out of all sorts of places.
I mean, he's a little sexy, but in a
yes, but
way.
Yes. No, that's one thing I was going to say. So one thing that also you could probably read from this and get something and understand and maybe do better yourself, if that's what you're pursuing in your own writing, is dialogue that definitely doesn't sound human. It is very, 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 very overly proper. And everything is a social contract and like a literal contract magically when you speak. And so when he speaks, everything he says is very particular.
Like legalese. Like,
yes.
Like they have to speak in such certain terms. But you're right, Katie. It is a masterclass in how to have perfectly human words, but it just doesn't feel like it's coming from a human perspective.
Yeah. It is so very impressive.
So cool, the magic, the way it works, because after like you have an encounter with any of the Stark, people just kind of forget about it. Like you can remember, but like it'll be like, oh, what happened? Were we worried about something? Probably. It's just it's a real subtle and a really interesting, just the way that it's like introduced.
And she didn't need to include that theoretically. Theoretically, take that aspect of the Stark away, and you would not have lost too much other than the fact that there's a long period where Miriam's not around and like there's no real explanation for why. But she should, like, Novik could have very easily addressed that, but it's even more mysterious and otherworldly.
It makes it heartbreaking.
It makes it really, because there's so many times later once Miriam is gone where her mom is just like looking at the empty chair or like puts out a plate of food and she's like, oh,
she's like, there's
Miriam's gone.
And like
she went to see her grandfather. That's right. And then it just keeps happening.
And it's like dementia.
Yeah.
And it's really depressing.
And it's so heartbreaking because it's such a thoughtlessly cruel form of magic where he's doing it so people don't fucking bug him. Like the way he's thinking about it, he's like, if nobody knows I came here, nobody's going to fuck with me. But it is such a thoughtlessly cruel form of magic that affects the people around it and is just like, for you as a reader, like heartbreaking to read. But yeah, so Stark, he rocks up and he was like, change this bag of silver into gold. Miriam immediately hightails it to the city again that she was just at a couple of days ago.
Confides in her grandfather, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And she finds a jeweler that one of her cousins is getting married to, and she goes to the jeweler and she's like, I have this silver, because she knows her first thought that somebody else mentions, I think it was her dad, just go to the bank, get the equivalent gold of these 6 silver coins and just swap them. And she's like, no, that's not
my gold.
Not my gold. I worked too hard for that. And so she decides she's going to make something. And we've seen her, again, I mentioned this, where you see Miriam do things over and over again that kind of builds to something. Previously, we saw her take something that wasn't worth a lot, but then put work into molding it into a new item. So taking wool or fabric and then turning it into dresses or aprons or whatever. And then she's able to sell that for more money. And then that way she can... like she makes money and she's not just getting items from the people who are paying her back. Yeah. So she's merchanting it up hard. And so we've already seen her do that multiple times in the story at this point. And then to see her take the silver and go, if we turn this into really nice jewelry, we can sell it for more and make it back that way. So she goes to this jeweler. She's like, yo, Isaac, you're marrying my cousin.
Belinda. I don't remember
Basha. Basha.
Yeah, whatever.
Her name's Basha.
Belinda.
Oh, Belinda. That classic Jewish name. And she's like, I need you to make, and he looks at it and he's like, yo, this is cool silver. Where'd you get this? And she's like, I don't say shit. He turns it into a ring, and he was like, when it's done, the ring captivates you. You can't help but look at it. There's something magical about it. So he's like, we got to get the Duke in on this. So they get the Duke's man, come in. The Duke's man looks, and the Duke's man's pissed. You summoned me from my house. And then he's like, oh shit, what a ring. They buy it. They get 10 gold pieces. They only needed 6. So she takes the 6. He takes 4 for his efforts. And off she goes back to bring the gold. She gets home. The Star King rocks up again. And he's like, great, here's another sack. And he goes, I will give you 3 days to do this. And he goes to leave. And our girl makes the first mistake of the book because she doesn't know the rules she's playing with. One of the things you learn about the Stark is they take contracts and return of like kind very seriously. So if you provide a service to them, they have to provide an equal service. They can't go better. They should not go under. They will go under if you're not smart enough to catch them. So they will not, but if you call them on it, they will try match it. You can't ask for too much. And she goes, I'm changing this silver into gold for you. What do I get out of this? And now she's put upon him where he has to offer something as good as turning silver into gold. And there's only one thing he can offer. And he's pissed.
Marriage.
He's so mad about
He's
it.
like, why would you even fucking ask me that? He was like, if thrice you prove true, you'll be my bride. And she's like, I don't fucking want that. And then he's like, and also, if you fail, you're dead.
Holy matrimony.
And this guy was fully willing to just let her change the gold into silver, or the silver into gold, and not give her shit. But because she asked for it, he had to deliver of like. And it's just...
Okay, look. I think we're all aware he could have offered something else, but he was being a bit of a dick. And he's like, I'll marry you.
Well, you get the sense that he's like, she's not going to be able to do this a third time.
Yeah.
No way this.
Yeah. She's not even, let's see if she even does it the second time. Because the second time, it's 60
the necklace.
Gold. It's 60 gold coins. So it went from 6, we're at 60. And so she hightails it back to she goes to the cart guy and she's like, I'll give you a whole kopeck off of your debt. We need to go back and you need to wait for me. Because even though he's given her 3 days, she only has 2 because midnight on Friday, she can't do work anymore. So she knows she only has 2 days to get this done. So she goes back to her grandfather's house. She goes to Isaac and he's like, do you have more of the silver? Because at this point his jeweler ass is addicted. And she's like, yep. And she gives it to him and he tries. There's this lovely scene where he mentions, or Miriam notes that he was saving some pieces, like he didn't want to use all of it. And also every time he looks at the gold, he knows what it should make, or the silver, he knows what it should make. And he makes this beautiful necklace. And he has to use every single piece, not more, not less. It's all used up. And he was like, okay, for this, we got to go to the Duke's house. There is no...
No, I just want to say this scene where they end up going to the Duke's house, the way it's described, because at this point we have actually acquired, I believe, at this point, Irina's perspective. And there's a couple of descriptions. You can go over it, Maria, if you'd like in more detail. But the point is like, it's described that the halls that she's used to in her father's home, because again, she is the Duke's daughter, is very like thin, and she's like feels very cooped up. But when Miriam goes with Isaac, it is described exactly the way it is done in Howl's Moving Castle, not the book, obviously, the movie. And when you get into the scene where it's like everything is padded and it's quiet because there's tapestries everywhere and the colors and the vibe of it and everything, when they get brought up through a servant's quarter to go provide, and I don't know if that's during the crown scene, which is what we're gonna get next.
No, it's the necklace scene.
Necklace scene. When they go up and they do that, it's very, very Howl's Moving Castle like aesthetic vibe, and I really enjoyed that in particular because that's exactly what I already had pictured for this in general, the environment that was going on.
It is really great. It's an awesome scene, and I should introduce Irina because we have gotten a couple chapters. Thank you, Katie. A couple of chapters from her point of view. As mentioned before, Irina's the Duke's daughter, not very well taken care of. He has a new wife. Irina's mom is dead. He has a new wife who has some young sons that are coming of age, so he's invested more in them. Irina and her Nanushka, her caretaker nanny lady, have been living in the top parts of the castle. It's real drafty up there. This is servants' quarters. This is not for the royal or for the family. And yet she's been up here because she's been kind of displaced.
And note that her mother was also of Stark blood. So
yeah, she's a fourth Stark, I think.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so her father, as told by others, truly did love her mother, but also potentially bewitched a little bit by her Stark essence. And so theoretically, they were going to have a child that was of Stark coolness. And unfortunately, it seems Irina didn't get too much.
Yeah, she, instead of
it was
having...
actually pretty clever how we get introduced to Irina in this way. And then later, after all of the events of the book, we get another reference of how Irina's father came to be disappointed with Irina's conception, and specifically why he is this damn disappointed in her conception after picking a part Stark wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yes. It's really great. Irina's dad is also a character that's going to... Novik's really good at presenting a character who you think is just going to be one way throughout the story, and then turns out to have depth to them, and you learn things about them that, they never they never enter the wow, this is a great person category, but they become nuanced. And despite... Katie made a great point about comparing it to ACOTAR, especially that what's her face's family, and how her dad is just so useless in that book, and then just how there's so many characters that are one note and have no depth, and they become mustache twirling-y. And this book is really great because characters that are presented as, is this a mustache twirling, or just is this a
useless side character for set dressing,
exactly. And it's never the case. There is always some amount of depth added to him, and we get that for Irina's father. But we learned that Irina, she does, she'll do embroidery and stuff for the household. She really is not taken care of. And the Tsar is coming to visit. Her dad is not thrilled that the Tsar is coming to visit. Number one, no way on God's green earth is the Tsar going to marry Irina.
She's not pretty.
Her not Stark looking butt? Absolutely not today.
Ironically.
Yes. And her father's also a tight ass. He doesn't like spending money, but the Tsar's coming, so he has to have feasts and celebrations, and he's just in a shit mood. And then the Tsar is going to go marry one of these other guys. And there's this big thing where nobody likes the Tsar. All of the noble men that we're introduced to are just looking for an excuse to take this guy off the throne.
Too pretty. His
mother was a witch who bewitched the previous Tsar, and then was caught after she tried to kill Menatius's older brother, who was supposed to be the crown prince and become the Tsar. His mother tried to kill his brother. She was then burned at the stake. And everybody was
burned at the stake.
Everyone was like, wow, look at this witch bastard boy. Kind of fuck this guy. Too pretty. And then his brother dies of mysterious circumstances, and now he's Tsar, and also he's uninvolved. He has no interest in politics. He's just this. He's sold to you as a pretty boy rock star, kind of.
Much like Hal.
Yeah,
but unlike Hal, he's got no interest in the ladies.
None, zero. He ain't here taking hearts at all. Everybody's like, buddy, can you please get someone pregnant? There's literally
can you please impregnate someone, man? We're just
could you sire a bastard at least? Anything. Give us something.
Because everybody's if this motherfucker dies, we're going to have a power vacuum, and then we're going to have a war, which is what happened previously, and we don't want that. And they're there's not even going to be a bastard if shit goes down. And so everybody else, knowing that this is the situation, has to have their plan. So they're like, there's this one guy, Ulrich, and they're like, his daughter will marry her. And that way Ulrich is really strong. So if he does die, Ulrich's a good power vacuum. And, maybe his daughter, like, there's all this machinations going. And the way they do it is, like, they'll be talking about, like, their tax rolls. Like, and if you listen to what they're saying, and Irina's awesome as a character because she gives you a window into this, what sounds like a innocent conversation, but it actually means this whole other thing, because that's how you plot in the political world of Litvas. And so, what?
I'm so glad you said the name of the city or whatever.
That's the name of the country. Yeah, I don't know the name of the city. I keep forgetting.
I can't remember, right?
Visnia.
Yes. Thank you.
I was going to say Lithuania. I was going to say Lithia. I was going to say all these other words, but the word, what it was.
So the kingdom is Litvas. The city that Miriam's grandfather and the Duke are living in is Visnia.
Which you all really needed to know. Yes.
Obviously.
Indeed. But yeah, and so she's like out here trying to get stuff. Her Irina's stepmother's going to get 3 new gowns, but then her dad gets this ring all of a sudden. She sees this ring, and it's like sitting like up here on his finger because he can't get it all the way down. But she's like, damn, look at that ring. Like everybody who sees it,
so bad.
Everyone who sees it is like, I'm enchanted, bro. And she also is like, how about that ring?
I want that.
She literally plots for 5 seconds in the novel to just stroke it.
Yes.
Like, that's it.
She's like, he's out there training with his knights. I bet it's in the room and I can go in and get it. And then she looks at him and he's still wearing it outside. And she's like, God damn it.
She doesn't even look at him like from afar. She goes up into a fucking tower. Yes. And like from afar, like looks down.
Oh, there's that silver glint, son of a bitch. But anyway, so she's real into this ring. And then our girl Miriam shows up with Isaac and is like, we have a necklace. And they bring the Duke, and the Duke's like, call Irina down. Because immediately he looks at this necklace. He's so enchanted. He's like, this is fucking it. This is called Tsar bait, baby. So Irina comes down. They put her on the necklace. And
they put her on the necklace. Sorry, that's crazy.
on the necklace. And everybody's like, her dad's like, that's it, 3 new dresses. And then he looks at them and he's like, well, you get more. And so then she's like, it's actually Starrick silver. I have to exchange it. Because Miriam's just honest. She told her grandfather
love it.
The point where the second thing happens, where she gets the second bag, she tells her grandfather. And then for the third one, or for the second one, she tells the Duke, she was like, it's Starrick silver. I have to change it over into gold. It went from 6 to 60, so I can only assume the next one is going to be 600 pieces of gold. And he was like, I will give you 100 pieces of gold for this necklace. When you get that silver, we're making a crown, and I will give you 1,000 kopecks, pieces of silver. And you're just like, oh, fuck. This guy is machinating. And Irina's like, I can't see my face when I wear the necklace, so I don't really know what everybody's on about. And her Nanushka Margreta is just like, oh, Irinushka. And it's just, oh God, I love Margreta so much. She's so fucking cute. But yeah, so now her dad's on the warpath as far as getting her with the Tsar. Everything has kind of turned over to getting her, and Margreta's like she's been waiting for this day her whole life to get her girl settled. She's like, we need linen, we need her bridal linens aren't ready, we need her things, and like conducting the army. But she's also terrified because the thing we've learned about Menatius is motherfucker's a weirdo. The only interaction our girl Irina had with her was when she was about like 10 or 8 years old.
And he killed a squirrel.
He was killing squirrels, and then he would go where the arrow had pierced them, and he'd fuck with
Make
it.
him jitter.
So
Make him dance.
The squirrels would like have like spasms, and she was like, leave the squirrels alone, you weirdo. And he was like, protector of squirrels, what you gonna fucking do about it? And he just kept leaving them for her, and she told Margreta about it, and Margreta was like, the minute because she said that she just hid her away. Margreta just was like, you are not going outside for 7 weeks. You will not see the sun, my child. And she was like, and she became paler and paler. Because she was not going to let her go. She was like, that guy's weird. Everybody's kind of like weirded out by the Tsar, but he's also the Tsar, so you do what you can. And so they're like, oh, God. Margaret's is like, oh, I've protected her for 7 years since then. And now this motherfucker, they're going to throw her at him. Miriam goes back to...
Did you have something, Katie? Sorry.
I mostly just wanted to excuse myself for approximately 3 minutes. I'm getting like nauseous, and when I get nauseous at this time, I usually drink pickle juice. I know that's dumb sounding.
No, I love pickle juice. Go for it.
I'm going to go get it. Continue on. Don't miss me. Goodbye.
Okay. We will not. Goodbye. And then there was 2 blondes. The brunettes were coming up. Anyway, and so Miriam gives him so she's going back to her little village, her little town. And on the way, the guy whose sleigh she's been using to get back and forth and who's been taking her decides he's going to rob her. Like, he just stops in the forest and he's like, you Jewish person wanting money from me, and he's being a dick.
Oleg saw his chance. He was like, I'm poor, I'm in debt. You have
got a whole lot of money.
A lot of money now, Miriam. Yeah. I see those dresses. I see your fine clothes. How about you let me in on it?
And it's great because Miriam was like, I was so worried about the Stark. I didn't think of the very real threat to my, because at other points, she's always very cautious that the people in the town hate her. There's this point where there's evidence of the Stark being around their house earlier, and they're sweeping it away because in the past, other Jewish people have been penalized when the Stark came and didn't attack, like a church was attacked, but the Jewish people were left okay. And, churches keep a lot of gold inside them. Never mind the poor Jewish people over there. But because they weren't affected, they got attacked. And so Miriam's mom was like, we cannot let people think anything weird is happening with the Stark with us. And Miriam is so cognizant of it all the time, but she got so wrapped up on all the Stark gold BS that she completely forgot the danger right in front of her. Anyway, don't worry. The Stark king comes out of the woods and is like, freezes Oleg. He doesn't freeze him, but he kind of mind wipes Oleg, and then he's like, here's your gold, here's the other one. You have
7 days.
7 days this time to get your shit in order. And she's like, oh God, okay. So she goes back to, Oleg ends up taking her back to town. It drops her off at her house, and then Oleg trots off to his house. And the next day, Miriam's like, I need you to go to Oleg's and just check. And Oleg is dead. He put his horses up. He came inside, he didn't come inside, but he took care of his horses. He fed them. He put them up, and then he just dies in the stable. And people are like, wow, a heart attack and freezing to death. And Miriam's like, it was the Stark. But everybody else, nobody thinks, foul play or anything like that. So she's good. And she's like, I need to go back to Viznia again. And everybody's like, you just got here. Like, what is happening? And she doesn't want to tell them because she knows they're going to be worried. But she tells Wanda because she knows the threat that if she does, so she either dies or she turns the silver into gold and becomes a Stark bride. And so she's going to be leaving. And so she tells Wanda, hey, if I do not come back, keep collecting the money and take care of my family. She also, when the Stark first start appearing, Miriam's parents are like, we'd like someone else in the house with us. Wanda, will you please have your brother Sergei come and stay with us at night? And Sergei loves it because he gets breakfast and dinner, and it's a good time. And there was I have to explain something. So Wanda's family has a tree that has her mother's spirit inside. How, may you ask, does this happen? Well, the Stark have these white trees, and one of them is on Wanda's family's land, and you can't plant anything there. It won't grow. So anytime Wanda's mother had a baby that didn't live, they buried the babies. And when I tell you the way in these, the first third, Wanda says dead babies, the dead babies that took her mother from, it's heart-wrenching. It's so good. Wanda loved her mother, and every child her mother had, she saw it take from her mother, her strength, her vitality, her happiness. So she doesn't even like the 2 brothers she has that survived. They also took from her mother. And when her mother died, giving birth to a different child, so not Stepan is the youngest of the kids, not Stepan, 2 babies after Stepan, she ends up dying, and she's also buried next to the white tree. And since then, every time Wanda kind of goes to it, the white tree speaks or acts as her mother. So like it will like caressingly like give her a caress, or it'll give her advice about stuff. Like she gets feelings about what the tree is telling her to do or not do, and she knows it's her mom. And there's a stage where her brother Sergei has been poaching people's rabbits, and he takes a Stark rabbit, and the Stark Lord takes his like kind of what mind wipes him as well. Stepan finds him, and this is the beginning of Wanda kind of getting closer to her brothers, because she's like, I don't give a shit about Sergei. And Stepan's like, no, Wanda, you gotta help. Something's wrong with Sergei. And she's like, Stepan, if you ever come to the Mendelssohn house again, I will wallop you. But she goes with because immediately Panova Mendelssohn, Miriam's mom, is like, Wanda, your brother's here. Something's wrong with your other brother. Go, don't worry about it. And Wanda's like, we were about
Well, I guess I better
have, well, not just that, but she was like, we were about to have lunch, and now I don't get to have lunch. She's like,
and the thing about Stepan that you know is that he does not talk much. He doesn't go outside much at all. Like he's a real, just quiet, like that's all we really know of him from Wanda's perspective. He's just kind of like, doesn't speak, doesn't go outside. So him being here is huge. Surprising.
Yes. And so,
but Wanda's just like, get the fuck out of here, man.
It was
like
you're
ruining my
and so she ends up going, and they find Sergei, and Sergei's like, and so she takes him to the white tree, and the white tree does some magic, and Sergei comes back. He throws up the meat he had been eating, and he was like, oh shit. And she was like, let's not do that again. But this is the start of the boys and her starting to help each other within their dad's household, where primarily they just worked as like Sergei and Stepan kind of like helped each other out, but Wanda was separate, and everybody was just trying not to get beaten because they're
all dancing around dad, like, or let's not press the buttons that are going to get us beaten.
And this begins, like Sergei is grateful for Wanda, so they start helping by like doing some of the laundry or helping her do stuff, and she starts doing stuff for them, and so they start building, like feeding into each other as far as like a familial bond, and doing things for each other that they're not used to. And it's really sweet watching this happen, because you have these three, I forgot what their last name is, Victus, but these three kids are all kind of emotionally stunted, and watching them learn to love each other, and that you can do things for people out of not just survival, but to be helpful, is just really beautiful. And it's one of those moments, like Val mentioned, where the mundane tasks and parts of living become really magical, and seeing them help each other and feed into each other. I freaking love it.
And can I say, like, just thematically, like, Wanda starts from probably the coldest place of, like, all three of these women, right? Because poverty doesn't really give you room for kindness, and, like, you all you can do is to be alive.
Yep.
Like, and whereas Miriam, like, acquires this coldness, but her family is so warm, like, around her, that she has love. It, like, real love, like, within her, like, with her grandfather, like, she never really loses it as much as she hardens herself. But watching Wanda really slowly kind of thaw out, just with her brothers first, and then like it's so rewarding.
It is, especially it's because later on there's going to be a point where she questions whether or not she wants to help Miriam, because Miriam's like Miriam, she's whatever, she's just her employer, but it just like Stepan is able to connect, well, I love this person and I want to make that person happy, so therefore I want to help this person. And so I guess this is truly just a story of how you can grow from trauma.
It really is. Yeah. It's so like with
As
the power of love.
We might need to quicken our pace.
Oh, yeah, we have, okay.
Yeah. I'm just letting you know.
to get through a lot of plot really quickly, Miriam ends up changing the gold. She makes a crown. Irina is given it. the Tsar marries Irina. Miriam.
Oh wow, we really are going fast. Never mind. Okay, you go, girl.
Yeah. Miriam has to go to the Staric lands, and Wanda is left helping the Mendelstoms, Miriam's parents, and eventually. With Wanda's been doing really good. She now knows how to read. She's been collecting money. She's been doing stuff. And so one of the guys in town is like, "Yo, I want," to her dad. She's like, "I want my son. Apron. Yeah, I want my son to marry your." Well, because Cautious, this one guy in town, has seen Wanda get smart and that she's like productive. Not only is she stocky and like when they say like built like a brick shit house, like Wanda's out here. She's strong. She got. Like, that woman, she's a tank. But now she's collecting money for the money lender. She knows how to handle money. She's got an education. She's now worth even more. Cautious is like, I want that girl for my boy. So one day Wanda comes home, and Cautious and his son are there with his dad. Her dad's drunk. And they're like, you're getting married.
They got him drunk.
Yes, they got him
to
drunk.
make this agreement. This is actually like you can slow down on the scene if you want. This scene is pretty pivotal.
Yes, I was going to slow down because it is so important. But they're like, you're going to get married. And she's like, no. And for the first time in her life, she says no to her father. And not like a, maybe not, no. She just says no. And everybody's like, and her dad's like, Papa say what? Like, what?
He loses his shit. Like the audiobook narrator does a great job.
So
like, you
good.
said no to her? You said no to me? Why would you can't say no to me?
Say no. It's so good. And Cautious is like, give her a minute. She'll think about it. And then he starts beating Wanda. And they're like
the absolute schniz out of her. And then poor Stepan.
And Cautious is like, if she doesn't want to marry the boy, there it is. We'll just be on our way. But
they're like, they're backing slowly out of the house. Like,
they're like,
wow, fuck, this guy is mental.
This guy is mental. We don't want that in that. And Wanda literally says, I could see that he had, no matter what happened, this marriage wouldn't happen. Because at one point, Wanda's like, I'll marry him. It's fine. But Cautious is like, no, thank you, because he doesn't want this in his house. And then there's this point where Wanda's on the floor and her father picks up the iron poker from the fire grate. And he goes to take her over the head and Stepan, our little tiny baby boy who has barely said anything, just jumps out, grabs him, the other end of the poker, and says no. And it's just this moment of these kids who have just been beaten down by their father,
finally sticking up for each other,
and like loving each other, like Stepan loving her enough to put himself at risk. It's just gorgeous. Sergei, who'd been outside, hears the commotion. He comes in because like there's this battle. Then Dad starts hitting Stepan. Sergei comes in. Stepan falls over, like is in front of the fireplace. Sergei pushes Dad. Dad topples back over Stepan. Falls into the fireplace. The pot of kasha falls, like porridge, just falls on him. He's got boiling like stuff all over his face.
They said, quote, my father no longer looked human, end quote.
And it's just, and he dies. And Cautious, the guy who wanted the marriage, saw the moment that Sergei pushed him. And so once he's dead, they're like, oh, they're going to say, we killed this, like,
which is such
killed
a bull. Yeah. Like, come on, that
also,
guy.
Fuck you, Cautious. You did this, you asshole. How dare you put this on these 3 children?
Yeah, but also this is vaguely medieval-ish law, and patricide was considered a very, very offensive crime.
Yeah.
Could I say about this scene, part of the reason why it feels so incredibly pivotal is because I feel like Novik did such a good job of showing how domestic abuse traditionally it turns children against each other. Like you're forced to sort of because in films we often see this savior kid like taking the beating for their little siblings and stuff, but in reality when you have a very abusive parent and you don't know what they're going to do, you learn to try to take care of yourself, and it can so easily split you up from your siblings and turn you into a position where you can't trust anyone really.
Or not just that, when you have a sibling and that sibling has a higher position than you due to birth or whatever else is going on, whatever it is, whether you both share both the same parents and that other sibling is just what the mother or father wanted, or whether or not they're the true child or whatever, and I'm speaking from experience, like that other child sees how their mother or father is treating the other sibling and thinks, oh, that's normal. And so therefore the other sibling ends up abusing the sibling. And that you see that a lot too, which is very realistic as well. But it's so nice to see the communion that happens over overall suffering, you know, and the empowerment that can happen from that. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's really awesome, and it feels earned, because another thing that I forgot to mention is once Sergei starts helping, Miriam, when Wanda starts collecting money for her, she's like, I will pay you half a penny directly, and then half a penny goes to your dad's debt, and you can have yours, however it is. And then when her brother starts staying the night, she's like, I will give you guys 2 pennies. 2 pennies? Yeah, whatever it is.
Whatever.
And she tells Sergei, and she was like, every day one of us will get the other penny that isn't going towards the debt. And they hide it. And it's so realistic because they can't take it. They can't buy anything for themselves. Because Miriam's like, Wanda has had all this money and she has done nothing with it. Like, and she doesn't connect. And there's this great scene before Miriam fucks off where she realizes that Wanda has spent none of it, and that she asks Wanda, because Wanda's never going to say my dad is a drunk who's not great and wastes money. She asks Wanda, what did your dad spend the 6 kopecks on? And through that learns that Wanda has to hoard this resource and hide it because that's the only other option. And it gives her context to everything that Wanda has done, because she just originally looked at Wanda a bit dumbly. Like, there's a point where she says she almost thinks of her a bit like an ox in the beginning, and then realizing that no, Wanda has been keeping some of the money for herself. She's been making decisions. She's had agency in a lot of these things.
And this is right before Miriam is like, I'm about to be taken as a bride.
Yeah. So, and because this is when she's like, hey, I need you to stay and take care of my parents. And so we've had like her and Sergei bonding over the money that they're building up together, and like maybe in the future one day what will they do with it, kind of thing. And then you get to this moment, and these 3 people who lived in isolation of each other despite living in the same place, but were so emotionally separated, and this thing just crashes them together, but also now has to tear them apart, because Wanda knows that Cautious will tell everyone that it was Sergei and her. Stepan won't be, nobody's going to try, kill Stepan, but they will come for Wanda and Sergei, so they have to run, and they can't take Stepan. He can't run. He's not as long as them, and he's not as, hardy as them. So she's like, take the goats, go to Panova and Panov Mendelssohn's house. Stay with them, and you'll be fine. And he's like, what? He's never left their land except for the one time he ran into town to get Wanda to help Sergei. So
this is the first time we get a perspective that isn't one of our 3 girls, yes. And it's Stepan. And
it's an awesome scene. Immediately, that voice that we spoke about earlier is on in the scene, and Stepan, you realize that despite not speaking, he's got a lot of thinking going on in his brain, and he's actually quite smart, but has never had anything to apply it to in a lot of instances.
He's very empathetic.
Yes, hugely empathetic and very observant. He notices everything, and this is one of the reasons why I think it actually really works for him to be the point of view character for that one scene, because he's paying attention. There's this one scene where he says, and it's not now, but to illustrate what I'm talking about, where he says, Panova Mendelssohn came in and asked me how I was doing, to be kind, but she wasn't actually being kind because she was distracted. But then she noticed I wasn't doing well, and then she actually was kind. And so he's so in tune to what, when people say things, how they're saying it, what is going on with their face, that means what they're saying and what is actually happening don't align with each other.
An abused child would do that.
Very much so.
Very much so.
Very much the like hyper like aware of like, oh, this reaction means this, but it could also mean this. But then I realized that it meant this, and like that's very much the mindset of like a kid who has had to overanalyze a parent's like. Oh, it's so. I love his chapters. I really do.
They're really good. I think at some point during that video, Katie and Will got me to be like, yeah, Stefan didn't really need to be. Fuck that.
Look,
I taken all that.
I was super high. Also, can we just forgive past Katie for this?
Forgive past Katie. Don't forgive past William.
Also, wait, Katie, how long do you have? Because there's a lot I want to talk.
Yeah, we're barely into the plot.
If you have to go and you want to like just do a thesis, and we can finish
if I have to, I will let you know. But by 5:15, 5:20 is my hard out.
Okay. So this scene happens. Stefan goes to the Mendelstoms. Wanda and Sergei run off. They end up kind of lost in the woods, and they find a little hut that they go into that is a weird hut. Back in Miriam, she's in the Stark lands. The Stark is like, I guess we have to, like, this is my queen. I guess we have to have sex. And she's like, I don't want to have, because he's like, we're married. It is your, or no. this isn't even, I do have to explain this. He's like, she gets her crown, she turns it into gold, and he's like, God damn it. Like, you can tell he's pissed about something. They go upstairs, she goes to take a drink out of a goblet, and he knocks it out of her hand because he had poisoned it. He was going to marry her, which he owed her, but then he was just going to kill her, so he didn't actually have to be married to her. Again, these Stark, with their weird rules.
Look at Elin. Wait, Elin, do you want to say something? I just saw you and you were just like, this bitch.
This bitch. And so then he's pissed because he's like, oh, you can actually change silver into gold in my world, so I can't kill you despite me. Now I have to be married to you. And he's like, let's do it. And he starts taking off his clothes. And she's like, no, I don't want it. And he was like, what will you give me for your marital rights? Or what do you want, in compensation for your marital rights? And she's like, you have to come every night and answer 3 questions for me, because she wants
5 questions. She asked.
Yes, she asked for 5. He says 1. She says 3. They bargain. And again, this is,
which kind of bites her in the foot. It's a little bit.
Yes, it is, because once she put the price she made, once she makes answers to questions valuable, he makes it so nobody can answer her questions for free. So like when servants come in and she asks them stuff and they're like, she's like, oh, this tricky bastard. And you as the reader have a good understanding of how the Stark kind of work, and Miriam is still trying to catch up to this. But throughout her stay there,
real fast, the marriage, like the brief marriage ceremony scene, I thought was so funny, just because immediately you can see all of these Stark people who are in the crowd just kind of sneering at the king, like, oh, look at you with your ugly little human wife.
Your brown wife.
How embarrassing. And he's like, oh, God. Like, look,
and then she's just
and then she turns it into gold in front of them, and they're like, oh shit. But like, he's just like, oh, I hate that I have to do this. This is so annoying.
This is so embarrassing. She tries to fill her days trying to like explore the castle. She has 2 kind of like ladies' maids who will not tell her their names, because by Fae rules, true names are super powerful. So she calls them Top and Fleck, because the one has a little beauty mark and the other one has her hair in a braid. And she gets them to kind of take her around the castle, so she kind of sees some of the stuff that's happening. And then she's like, I'd like to go on a sleigh drive. And so this other Sarek who she names chauffeur, takes her out. And while she's out, like just exploring the Sarek wilderness and learning that the only one who can open a road back to the human world is the Stark king, she passes a little hut. And popping out of the stream next to this little hut are 2 figures, and you're like, who the fuck is that? But we also kind of know, because meanwhile, Irina, married to the Tsar, found out that the Tsar actually has a demon inside of him who wants to eat her. She realized something was up because he had a weird look in her eyes, and with all of the Stark jewelry on, when she looks in a mirror, she sees the Stark lands, and she can push herself through into the Stark lands, and then if she looks through the body of water she came through, she can see the human world. In this case, the room she was supposed to be in.
Presumably because she is of Stark blood.
Stark blood. And the silver has some inherent magic to it. And so that's when she learns that old Menoetius has a demon inside of him. The demon wants to eat her and is like addicted to Menoetius when she's not there, beats the crap out of him. And so she starts playing this game where she is constantly going in and out of the Tsaric world to get the Tsaric world to get away from this demon, and just watching it.
And the demon only comes out at night. So she's safe during the day. Like, he's just a regular kind of like a dumb boy, like prince.
He's a pretty boy. Night,
he's a pretty boy, member. But he's a little. He's an NSYNC
member, and completely uninterested in running his kingdom. And meanwhile, our girl is super politically minded. But then the demon's like, "Bring me her nanny, and I'll eat her and find out where she is." And so our Irina's like, "Oh no!" And they end up bringing Margreta there, and she spirits Margreta away into the Tsaric realm. And so when you saw those two people coming out of the river near that hut that Miriam saw, it was those two. So then the two of them are like, what the hell is happening here? Actually, they don't find the hut. The chauffeur takes them to the hut, but they popped out of the river. And she's like, "Yo, Irina, I got you that crown." And Irina's like, "You're the Jewish jeweler's wife?" And she's like, "Not the jeweler's wife. I'm now married to a Tsaric king."
That was
she's like,
in the short story.
Yeah. And then she was like, and she's like, turns out the Tsar's a demon. And they're like, "Wow, we both have monster boyfriends. What to do?" So they craft a plan.
That's true.
Yeah, they craft a plan to set them against each other, because the demon likes Tsaric people because they're cold, and he likes drinking the winter out of them. And so Irina's like, "Let's give him your Tsaric lord." Our girl Miriam's like, "Yes, queen, I love this." So they plan a whole, they craft this plan around Miriam's cousin's wedding, because Miriam promised her cousin Basha she would have at least one dance at the wedding. And Miriam now has learned that promises mean a lot in the Tsaric world, so she's trying to use that. So Irina goes off, gets the demon to agree to not eat her, and to go to the Tsaric, to go to this wedding, and he'll get the Tsaric king. Our girl Miriam goes to the Tsaric lord and is like, "Hey, buddy, can I go to my cousin Basha's wedding? I promised I made a promise. I made a promise." And he's like, "Oh, if you break your promise, that'll make you an oath breaker," which means he gets to kill her. And he was like, "What shall you give me in honor?" And he's like, "How about you change? I have 3 storerooms full of silver. You turn them into gold, and you can go." And she's like, "Oh my God, that was so easy." Yes. And he's like, "Fuck you. You were supposed to bargain.
You've been bargaining with me this whole time, you piece of shit." And then, now you're not?
And so he leaves. He's like, "You have 3 days. Good luck." And she's like, "Oh shit, I forgot to ask how big the storerooms were." So she goes to see them, and they're huge, full of shit, and massive. She'll never finish them in 3 days. And she just starts changing gold over.
There is it's almost like the 3 little bears, or what? Goldilocks and the 3 bears, whatever. Yeah. It's like, there's a little small storage room, then there's a medium storage room, and then there's a very large storage room.
Cavernous storage room. And she's like,
can we just say, like, this whole time during Miriam's perspectives, the 3 questions she gets every night, the Star King's just a real bitch about asking them. He kind of tries to trick her into asking more questions. Then, like, it's just very amusing to watch them back and forth.
And I love it because he's so grumpy about it, and she's not getting what she wants, and he also doesn't understand why she's asking any of the questions she's asking,
which is so dumb, honestly. Like, the whole time, just to slow down for 5 seconds, while I was listening to this, I was like, man, he is so full of himself, which makes sense. It's not like it doesn't make sense in the book, because he specifically tells Miriam, he says, "I have so much pride, nothing will overcome my pride." So it makes sense that he would not think of this from her perspective. Once again, Elin's cup is full. But anyway, sorry. But all I could think of is, of course she would ask these questions. She doesn't know your fucking world. Like, but why would she doesn't really know any hers, of these
so
things?
He's just like, the logic is completely separate.
He doesn't understand human logic at all.
No, and he's very dismissive of it. He's like, "What could your little mind comprehend anyway? Why are you bothering me with these trifles?"
Yes.
Which
I'll be right back, guys. There's children playing outside. I'm going to close the window.
Okay,
there's children
outside.
Bad children.
But no, it is actually, like, I thought it, like, it's not as if it's a flaw in the book. It's just, as you're sitting there, you're thinking, of course she would ask these questions. She's from a completely different country, basically.
I'd say it's a rather charming character flaw in him.
It is.
And it's so obvious, and in a clever way that Novik just puts it there.
Val called him a dork, and I think that is a great term for him.
It really is. So our girl Irina, her Nanushka stays in the Staric realm for a bit in that little cabin we mentioned. And I mentioned it because Wanda and her brother Sergei are in it, and Margreta is in it, but she's in it in the Staric realm, and the other two are in it in the human realm. And things keep coming back and forth in between, like... Wanda makes a pot of porridge. Suddenly, Margreta has a pot of porridge she didn't make. She eats some of it. Our girl Wanda opens it. There's porridge missing, and now there's a wooden spoon that wasn't there before. And she was like, I specifically remember saying, I wish I had a wooden spoon. And so they're like, this is a magic house. A witch lived here. And Wanda and Sergei are hysterical because they're like, we don't want to be here, but we've also used it. So we need to give back. We have to fix the bed and the door frame and the chairs, and that way if the witch comes back, she won't be angry that we used her stuff.
And they're like speaking out loud, like, we're totally gonna leave soon. Don't worry.
Yeah. And we're gonna fix this thing tomorrow. And it
Question. So there are 2 references in this novel that I thought maybe were from other things in her own universe. And one thing was the mention of the witch on this. And the other thing is the mention of the farmer, which we're never going to mention. But there's a farmer, like, towards the end of the story that has painted flowers on his door. It's weirdly specific and it's weirdly emphasized. Do either of those characters exist in any of her other books?
Nope. At least
Wild!
as someone who's read all of it.
Continue.
No. But anyway,
I was thinking maybe the witch was the Staric lady who went and married Irina's father, but that's just my brain fart.
Yeah. And
no, that's fair, but there's not enough evidence, I guess.
Well,
for it.
also, it can't because he said the last time the witch was there, the people
several
in her world,
centuries.
Yeah, it was long ago. But anyway, and I'm just going to say, because this scene is really great, because Margreta and Wanda end up bonding without realizing it, where Wanda finds some wool and she spins it, but she does a terrible job. Like, she's practical. She knows how to do, like, the labor that has been expected of her, but she has no finesse to it. And there's this point where Margreta sees her spun wool and she brushes it and she spins it fine and tight. And when Wanda sees it, it reminds her of her mother teaching her how to do it, which she had completely, that memory, she lost it. And she, in this moment, remembers it. And then we get our first scene from Margreta's point of view. And we learn kind of a backstory from Margreta and how she ended up in this position that she's in. And I'm not going to go into detail except for this one thing where she learned how to spin wool, to embroider, to knit, to do all of her stuff through the iron eye and expectations of her first Duchess, whom she loved a lot. And she, like, the care you put into the things you make. And as Margreta takes the things Wanda has done and then does them nicely, Wanda learns that, like, refinement of it and how to, like, take the practical skills she have and make it beautiful. And there are these 2 people who have functioned as servants for a lot of people and have survived most of their lives without finding someone that loves them. For Margreta, the person she finds that she loves and she invests into her is Irina. And for Wanda, we're watching her fall in love with her own family and the Bendelstams. And these 2 women who have just served and them, like, bonding and teaching and, like, Margreta passing down, murder me. I fucking loved it.
And also, like, Wanda being like, oh, I can use this numbers magic that Miriam taught me to break apart this tapestry and learn how to do it myself. Like, this magic is so cool. So she, like, breaks down all the little stitches, or, like, I don't know anything about this, but, like, she she makes like a math equation out of it and learns how to do it. It's very satisfying.
And it's great because if you've ever looked at a knitting pattern, that's what it is. It's all the different types of stitches, how to do them, combine them, and it looks like an equation. And she has to write 30 of them because she is able to look at each individual stitch. And it's just such an awesome scene. And then having the two of them interact without knowing it. And these two characters are never going to interact. They're never going to meet each other. But it's just this beautiful moment of
ships
like
in the night.
Yeah, and just how much similarity there is between these two people, and how Wanda is now going to take a different path than Margrethe took. Like, she's going to get more out of life, and it's just freaking beautiful, and I love it. And anybody else
being in the house on parallel worlds is probably my favorite part in the book, I'll say. Even
it's
though
so cozy.
technically speaking, nothing that much is happening, and still so much is happening.
It's so great, and it made me so angry because right around all of this, our girl Miriam is getting the Star King to make a bargain to take her to the Bosch's wedding. Irina's getting Chernabog to agree to do this thing, and William was like, I hate Wanda. The other two are dealing with demons and doing all this stuff, and Wanda's knitting, and I was like, fuck you.
Yeah. What? Wanda,
get out of here.
Best girl.
That's girl.
Sometimes Will just is so much of a gremlin that
say that a little louder.
Anything that is too happy and too sweet, he just goes,
yeah, exactly.
Well, also, to be fair, when there are really high stakes in comparison to it, so I mean, on a separate platform from all of this, which I do agree on,
I understand how this
could be
because
I fast forwarded through this part.
Whoa!
Betrayal!
After the novel was over. But during this time, I was like, I want... The thing that's... So unfortunately for me, I got a little antsy in some places, and this is one of 3 places I got antsy. And I was like... I need to know. And this is what happened when I read the second book of Aragon, even though it's shit, is that when I got that second perspective.
Aragon references.
I know, right? When I got that second perspective shift to like Rowan or whatever his name is, Roran or whatever, I was like, what's going on? I need to know. Yeah. I need to know right now. I'm impatient.
I see what happened for me is every time one person's perspective would end in this book and we'd go to somebody else, I was like, well, what's going to happen with them? But then I'd get into the new perspective and then theirs would end and I'd be like, but I want to know what's...
Yeah, so for me, they chase each other beautifully.
Yeah. They do.
Yeah, I never was left like wanting at the end of one because the next one picks up in just the right place, it feels like, to carry the story onward. It wasn't even like a growing pain where I was like, oh, this again.
Yeah.
Like that never happened to me.
It's not that vibe at all. I would admit that I didn't experience that, but it was something, especially during the slower moments where there are faster things happening around it, where I just happened to be impatient.
To be honest, in this scene, there are higher stakes happening than what's happening with Wanda and Margrethe. And so if you are more interested in those higher stakes, you might be a William or a Katie in this moment. And as long as you're a Katie and not a William, we love you.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
No space here for William. Anyway, so the next big thing that happens is the actual wedding, our girl Miriam realizes she can't change all the gold over into, all the silver into gold. So she realizes he specified, you need to change all of the silver in my storerooms into gold. So she starts having Fleck, Top, and Chauffeur bring the giant sleigh up and just take all of the silver out of the last biggest storeroom and dumping it out onto the ice river that's kind of outside, and they just start taking it out. And so she's kind of like rushing to do everything, and she starts getting better with her magic and being able to change the gold. And one thing we learn in this book is if you do something 3 times, you make it true. Even if you weaseled out of it some way, you still did the thing, you met the requirement unless you make it true, and then you get to like have some power. And so there's 3 storerooms here that she's going to do. And the Star King keeps coming and looking at her progress, and he's like, I'm going to have to fucking kill you. I don't want to, God, like, what are you like?
He's so annoyed.
He's so angry. And luckily the door to the big cavern, like filled with stuff, is closed, so he doesn't know that they're emptying it. So like the day finally comes, she's changed all over. There's like a tiny pile of gold. Go.
Just real quick. There's something happens between Fleck and Sop and a chauffeur with a Miriam at one point where she's like, I forget exactly how she phrases it, but like
basically she's like,
when all of this is done, if once we do this, I will change all of your silver into gold.
Yeah, I'll give all of this to your families. And I think Sop and chauffeur agree immediately, and Fleck is like, okay, after a minute. And then we learn that I think Fleck has a daughter, so she's like, me and my daughter are gonna get killed if this doesn't work. So we're doing this for you.
They become a bondsman and their fate is tied to her political rise and fall. I don't think they get killed, but I think they will lose their station and slide down in the social hierarchy. Yeah. So it's a bit like indentured servants.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. And
Miriam doesn't really understand what this like agreement that she's made with them.
She's done.
And then she asks about it
that's
later.
What I was
she's like, oh shit, yeah, like when the Starrick King, like she's like, what happens when this happens? And he's like, this, and it's like, oh, I just made a bunch of bondsmen for myself. These people, I are like indebted to me. Like we're tied to me.
They're tied to my fate. So like,
but as the badass bitch she is, she's like, but I needed them, so I probably would have done it even if I knew.
Yes.
Yeah. She like.
She's like, I didn't force them. They chose.
Heart of gold, but some cold ass gold, guys.
Outer layer of silver, inner interior of gold. Of gold.
So anyway, the Star King, like the sun comes up on the last day, or like it's like nighttime, her time is up. The Star King comes and he looks at everything, and then he sees the tiny pile of gold that was all she managed to change in the big room, and he's like, oh my god, you did it. And he's happy.
He's thrilled.
He's thrilled that she outwitted him.
Which is really endearing.
And
it's really endearing.
And he's like, impressed too. He's like, I underestimated you.
He's like, my lady.
Yes. He was like, no more shall we be foregoing the marriage bed, my lady. Like, yeah. And he was like, I see that I was a fool when I looked down on you.
Oh, I'm trying to kill you, but.
Yeah, because he's being so nice. And so then he was like, you take as long as you need to get ready to go to your cousin's
I can shift time a little bit. She's like, you can shift time this whole time, you motherfucker?
Yeah, you can freeze time, and you gave me 3 days.
Well, then what we learn, of course, is that since she made a great working of magic, he can make a great working of magic, and so therefore he can adjust time because she was able to complete her task.
And so when she leaves, there's a big procession. He looks great. Everyone's there to she changes all the gold for everyone. There's also this beautiful moment where Fleck is like, here's my daughter. Please name her. Her dad was a bastard and abandoned us, and she doesn't have a true name. And our girl Miriam gives this little Starrick child the most Jewish name. Rebecca Botfleck.
I was listening to this part out loud while I was cooking dinner last night, and Kyle was like, I thought this was a fantasy. It's like a Jewish story. And I'm like, it's both.
It's both. And our girl Miriam's like, let another fairy try figure out her real name. They'll never get it.
Actually really funny.
It's so funny. But she's got this beautiful gown, and he helps her. He picks her up into the sleigh, and he's like, and I love the part where he's like, I'm gonna get my marital rights. And she's like, how about not? And she's like, what are you gonna give? He's like, okay, if you don't want to do it, what are you gonna give me? And he was like, I won't set my price as low as you did. 3 dumb questions. He's like, I know. But anyway, they go to the party. Everyone at the Stepan and Wanda, Sergei and Wanda get out of the forest. Miriam's parents.
Have we missed anything with Irina up to this point?
No, she made the agreement with the demon. She takes Magra out of the palace, or out of the little.
She's staying in the cabin.
Yeah, she's now she brings Magra back into the human world. They are all heading
she's
back
made the deal with Chernobog, which she doesn't know his name yet. But she's just like, yeah, if I bring you the Starrick King, which I can do, you'll leave me and mine alone, which is a really key phrasing for later. And
he's like, absolutely, really let's do this. So they go back to Visnia. And
for reasons.
The Stepan and the Mendelstoms are also going to this wedding, particularly because they're looking for, like, she remembers, Panova Mendelstam remembers Miriam exists and was like, we're going to that fucking wedding. On their way, they stumble upon Sergei and Wanda in that little hut. They take them as well with them into Visnia. And so they're at the wedding, and there's a ton of beautiful moments here in the Visnia section where they kind of bond with the Mendelstoms, and it's really sweet. You go read the book; it's a great time,
especially from Stepan's perspective. Just like,
and also that conversation, that conversation with Panova Mendelstam and Wanda, when Wanda just starts crying because Wanda's like, "I'm no use to you here. There's already so many servants," and she's like, "Wanda, my girl, I adore you. Why do you need?" Go read it. It's great.
Okay, it's so good. Yeah,
it's Maria's mom when I except for minus the servant part. It's Maria's mom when I came into her household and I was like, I'm not your daughter, and she's like, it doesn't matter, come into my bosom. And it was very nice.
And it's a great scene. It made me tear up. But we have the wedding night. Wanda is helping get things together. Sergei's doing things. There's dancing happening. All these families are in town celebrating, and then while in the middle of the dancing, there's loud knocks on the door. Who is it but the Stark King and his queen, who also is Miriam, and everybody's like, oh my god, Miriam, you're here. And then they dance, and then the Stark King dances with them as well, and suddenly they're dancing.
It's a really cool ass scene. Go read it.
This scene is all from Stepan's perspective, which on a surface level feels like a weird choice because he probably has the least amount of stake in all of the drama.
He's got no skin in the game.
But his eyeballs are so good.
Yeah. Well, not just that. He's a child. So we're seeing through a child's eyes a marriage, which is very unique. Not just a marriage, but a Jewish marriage, which is separate from any marriage. Look, first of all, I don't think Stepan's even witnessed marriage. But beyond even that, it's a completely different cultural exchange. So seeing the magic through which that happiness, the happiness of the large family unit that he's never experienced is in and of itself really cool. But then also, of course, Miriam and the Stark come along, and then he's just like, through the child's eyes, the raw data of what's going on and the weird magic that they're experiencing. And then lo and behold, another knock comes along, and it's the Tsar and Tsarina, and they come along, and you get the description of... Continue, Maria.
Yeah. So they bust in, and Chernobog's like, let's do this, baby. And the Stark is, and we don't know Chernobog's name. Everybody just calls him the demon. But the Stark King is like, fuck you, Chernobog. You put your dirty ass face in my face. I'm going to take you out. And he bitch slaps. She just bitch slaps Menatius. Menatius goes flying. Because again, it's a demon, but in a human ass body. And there's this beautiful moment where Stepan was like, Dad hit me like that sometimes. And he was like, but I didn't fly. Or he'd hit Sergei like that. And he was like, but Sergei didn't fly as far as that guy did. But to give you the scale of the strength that is happening. Oh.
As a quick side note, prior to this moment, there had been a long period of time where it was presumed that I'm going to say monotonous almost, but it was presumed, and Irina had believed, that he had traded his beauty and power as Tsar with the demon for his brother and father's life. But what we have learned prior to this moment, and we have
we don't know it. We don't know it yet.
No, don't we?
I think he's told us, but I don't remember.
I think it's after this scene.
Yeah, it's after this scene.
It's after.
Yeah, we don't get it now.
Apologies. Okay, well, we should address that.
It is important, but yeah.
Yes, and we also did skip over the really cute scene that I don't know if I'd call it cute. But the scene that we referenced before, where as they were traveling to the wedding,
I think that's after this too. Am I mistaken?
What's that?
No.
Are you talking about the bed scene?
I think the bed scene is now.
Yeah, it's already happened. It's because they were traveling on their way to the wedding, and who we're talking
because
about
the demon has agreed not to eat her, and thus they can stay in the same room.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And so, anyway, there's this really small scene. Maybe because you really valued it before. You mentioned it.
It's a great scene.
They pretend to have sex. They pretend that there's a bunch of servants in the room with them as they're going to sleep. And he thinks, because he's like, this bitch is going to want to sleep with, she wants kids. And so he goes to, do stuff. And Irina's like, we're gonna fake it, bro. And so she's like, bounce on the bed, and they start bouncing.
She's like,
and making
on the bed.
And making.
And he just cracks up in a way that you've never seen this character laugh before.
I kind of also love the undertone of like she's gonna want kids because, and he's also like, and also I'm beautiful, like just like everyone else in my life. Yeah, she's gonna want something out of me, and what I will want doesn't really matter. So, you know, better just get it over with. And then she's like, let's fake it.
Yes. And they bounce, and it's so absurd. The absurdity of the situation with other people in the room, and he laughs, two of them laugh, and then he just starts sobbing into his pillow.
And he like kind of muffles the laugh in the pillow, and then he starts crying into the pillow.
And then as he comes up for breath, it almost sounds like that breathy moan. So it still sounds like the sex is happening. And it's just this terrible scene because you know that this guy's, and it's from Irina's perspective, she doesn't know the depths of what he has had to suffer through. And it's a great moment. And also in the scene we were just talking about with the marriage, you're watching the Star King body Menatius. He is getting absolutely destroyed. And he, at one point, he throws, because like they have a silver chain that they try bind. And the Star King is like, fuck this silver. I break it. Yeah, you ain't got nothing.
I break.
And then Irina has to use her Star Silver necklace to kind of attach the two sides again. But the Star King successfully traps Chernobog, binds him into a fireplace inside Menatius's absolutely destroyed body. Like his jaw's unhinged, his fingers are like he's near pulp.
Not so pretty.
Yeah.
Not so
Until
pretty.
the Stark's like, okay, my wife, we had our dance, we're going home. And she's like, no. And her parents are grabbing onto her and they're like, no, you can't take her. And there's this whole altercation happening there where they're trying to take her. And then out of nowhere, Wanda comes in because Stefan's like, oh my God. Because she's like, please, Miriam. He's like, please, Miriam, just leave with your king. I just need you to go so me and my family can. He was like, I know Panova Mendelstam will be really sad if you leave, but I don't want Sergei, because like Sergei starts dueling with the Star King. But then out of nowhere, Wanda comes in and throws the chain around the Stark, and she's holding it. And then Sergei comes and is holding it. And then Stefan's like, oh, shit.
Well, if they're holding it, I guess I gotta hold it.
So he starts holding and helping. And then everybody starts holding onto it. And the Stark is still going. And he's ready to, like, take them down. But unbeknownst to him, Irina has gone around and set up these 12 different candles in a circle around the Star King. And then she goes to Menatius and she's like, I know you've got, like, broken fingers, but can you light those flames on fire? And he, with his broken ass finger, lights it on fire and binds the Star King. So then the Chernobog puts himself back together and puts Menatius back together, and they take the Star King, they put him down in this dungeon, this tower that's underground that was never so this whole thing. Anyway, they put him there, and then Miriam and her family are like, woo, so good. But as he's getting escorted out, the Star King looks at Miriam and he's like, thrice, my lady, you've shown me that I've not valued your intelligence and who you are enough. That's on me. And even though me and my entire kingdom of people will die because of this, I don't blame you. He bows deeply and he's like, my lady. And you're like, what a classy ass bitch.
Clock it. Like, as my kids would say. Like, it's just, like, so good. Like, I love that he, like, calls himself out and he's just like, you know, F me, like,
this is on me.
You did it.
And Miriam is like, oh man,
that's kind of hot.
Yeah. And I should say, before they even got married, Miriam went to her grandfather and told him everything. She's like, I'm gonna have to do this. And her grandfather was very practical. He's like, you know what? There's worse things than being a queen. And she like cried, but she was like, okay, yes, this practicality is helping me.
Hanov Moshel, I love that man.
Yeah,
I love her grandfather.
And she goes back to him at this point, and she's like, man, I gotta do something about my husband. I guess I feel like I owe him something. And there's people there back in the kingdom who are just people.
Yeah.
And she's like,
well, I just named a child. I have a goddaughter. And his grandfather's like, well, you gotta do what you gotta do, babe.
Mm-hmm. And he like shows her like a path out of the city that like the Jewish people only know about as far as we know. And she's like, follow the stars on the wall.
The wall that will lead her to.
Am I really gonna do this for this guy?
And first she goes to Irina and she's like, Irina, the demon's going to eat all of the Stark people. There are like children there. We can't let this happen. And Irina's like, he was gonna, because the other thing we haven't mentioned is the Stark kept extending winter to and his goal was just to make it winter 24/7, 365. And nobody knew why. And she thought it was just to conquer her people. And everybody has the assumption that they're just doing it to be dicks. But Panav Moshul, wisdom, is like, I've been alive a long time, and the winter hasn't been extending like this, and except for the past 7 years. I would ask, why now? What has happened? And you as the reader are like, 7 years ago, Menatius was crowned. The timelines are adding up. Something is happening here that we don't know about. And again, she goes to Irina. Irina's like, he was going to kill my people. I'm so sad for his people and the kids. And this isn't a great situation, and I don't love this. But I am not I'm not setting him free, and I will deal with the demon later. The out of the frying pan into the fire kind of thing.
And the spring has sprung at this point.
It is
just like that.
The leaves be leaving. The rye is not just like shitty. It's grown. Everything is great. They're like, oh my God, fuck winter. And our girl Miriam is like, but I have a goddaughter who does not deserve to die. So she follows the path her grandfather told her. She goes underground. She goes to the Star King, and she's like, yo, what is happening? And he's like, Chernobog was going to eat your entire world and then come for he wants my world. He was going to eat my world. And then you guys were going to die in a drought because he was going to eat you guys too. And she's like,
if anyone who's ever played a Pokemon, Ruby and Sapphire, it's like a flood the world or drought forever. Those are the two bad guys.
Yeah. and the one is acting in reaction to the other. So you think at previous points, the book is kind of presenting them as similar threats. And then you learn, oh no, Chernobog is the problem. The Stark has been reacting to it this whole time. So she frees him. Chernobog comes to he's like come for his dinner date. He's like, I came to eat, and they have to get out. The Star King is like, fuck you. Like once he's free, he's like, fuck you, Chernobog. And Chernobog immediately is like, and runs away down the tunnel.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is that a capybara, Elin?
Yes, it's the capybara.
Oh my God, it's so cute.
That's the one that you thought was a nipple last time.
Oh, did I? Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I did think it was a nipple. I remember.
Yeah,
It does look like a nipple.
It's
Okay,
so
wait,
cute.
ladies, I have to go.
Okay, you go.
Do you have a little thesis that you want to impart?
The only thing I wanted to say is that when they get to the scene that I'm talking about, which is basically the very end, Novik psychs you out for 5 seconds, and you're like, oh, fine, I guess I'll be okay with this ending. And then she gives you what you want, and you're like, oh, okay, thank you.
Can I tell you? Go back and watch the first video. Katie did not like this. She was like, me, I hate this.
No. Okay, wait. This is my only thing. So you know how, like, at the beginning of the novel, you get majority Miriam's perspective? One thing I would have liked, but again, this is a pacing thing, and already she slowed down for a few things, and so I could see why she doesn't do it. But that being said, in Katie's world, I would have liked it is if when you get to the scenes where she's with the Stark King for a little bit, which they will explain shortly, I would have liked to have slowed down and gotten the same amount of time of them bonding during that time. Now, do I need it to be satisfied? No, I do not. She did everyone equally.
That's what fan fiction is for.
Yes, but I don't give a flying pig. What I would have liked is to have seen at least just one, literally like 1 to 2 extended scenes in that summarization where I just hear just 1 or 2 little things that would have been nice. But honestly, that's eating my cake and having it too, or what is it? Yeah. Whatever.
You want to eat your cake and have it too. Have your cake and eat it too.
Correct. But everybody equally received the proper ending, honestly. Yes. So it's fine. What really does it in is, and Maria will explain it later, the signing of his name. That really just ties everything in.
Can I tell you, this is what I wanted out of you the first time we read it, because you were so you were like, this wasn't a romance. And I was like, it wasn't. It was the beginning. They haven't even kissed yet.
I was going in thinking of Tithe, because you have to remember, I hadn't read a novel in like probably 8 years. It was all fan fiction, so I was going in. Anyway,
go.
Thank you very much, ladies. The book is great. Go read it. Goodbye.
So she gets the Stark out, and she's like, okay, we have to. There's a whole tussle with the guard. The Stark gets injured. Her and Sergei have to take him. They end up taking him back to that cottage from earlier. Wanda and Yeah.
Can we talk about the Tsar's perspectives? Just a couple
please.
of them.
And now that we
Please,
we don't have a rush, we don't have a time limit anymore. Yes, let's.
Oh my god! I was so charmed by his perspective chapters. It's so funny.
Yeah,
the
favorite
way
POV, not favorite
Yes.
character, but
he's like, he hates that people think that his wife is pretty. He hates it so much. He's like, she's not. He's like, he like draws a picture of her, and this is a bad example, but he's like, you got tell me what you see. Is she pretty?
Yeah, you just can't get over it. And people are like, yeah, maybe her beauty isn't fully encapsulated by a picture, but yes.
But it's so nice
and
seeing
like,
the way you
but what are
view
you
her.
looking at? I'm looking at this.
Like,
what is
he's
it
like,
you
tell
see?
me exactly what part of this
What
face.
part?
Yeah.
Again, all of this because it's Maria.
It's so beautiful, and they're like, it's the whole together.
Yeah.
It's like, ah.
Because whatever magic that Irina is able to affect other people with when she's wearing all the silver, Manatius ain't affected at all. He's like, who's just this skinny, like, awkward lady? Like, I don't understand for shit.
And there's this like kind of Chad of like a guy who's like super into her. He's like a, why can't I think of the word bodyguard?
Yeah,
guard. Yes. And he is like just always like giving her like
moon
longing
eyes.
And like our Tsar is like, oh my god, man.
Yeah.
Like,
That scene.
Manatius so not getting us is also how we get the best joke of the whole book, where he's like, everybody's like, it's not like I can tell everyone that the reason to why I'm acting this way is because I only married her because my demon told me to.
And it's, when I tell you, it really, his sections are, because when you get to Margreta and Manatius's points of view, we're halfway into the book. And you're kind of like, not me. I immediately was like, nom nom, bitch.
The first time I got a bit of whiplash, I was like, what is this tomfoolery now? I thought I knew which people we were gonna hang out with.
Yes, and so it is, you can be like, there is a moment of being like, and is this necessary? But Manatius's point of view, number one, it humanizes him so much because you understand that his whole life people have he has a demon inside who's hungry all the time that he has to satisfy, and if it cannot be satisfied by other people, he has to satisfy it himself. Like the demon takes it out on him, and then everybody else, whether it's women thinking he's beautiful and wanting him, men thinking he's beautiful and wanting him. There's literally a point where he says, everybody wants it to Irina in reference to himself, and she's like, that sounds like what women say. And it's this, and you get this like weariness out of this young guy who's like 4 years older than our girl Irina, and it's just Will made the point that this book has two like arranged marriage or like marriage to lovers plot lines that just work so well, and having Manatius's point of view helps you empathize with him and see into, and he's also just the funniest. He's so fucking funny.
He's a character
so
archetype
funny.
I just enjoy so much. It's sort of like a slightly darker, like Howl and Calcifer kind of a situation.
He's kind of
100%.
self-obsessed. He's using humor to compensate for how awful his life is, and at the same time, he's really self-pitying in this way only a true like fop at heart can be.
Yeah, and it's
and
so
I'm so weak for fops.
There's this one part where he's like, "Are you using magic?" And Irina's like, "Yeah, I got this thing." And she's like, "But you know all about that, getting magic to look beautiful." And he's like, "I'm not beautiful because of magic." And then he looks away from her and he touches his face like, "Am I beautiful?"
How can you say that?
And it's so
like, oh no,
it's so fucking funny because
like, he's never even considered it. He's like, oh god.
And it's so funny because he really is like the pathetic Howl like moments where like Howl's like temper. It's so good. I fucking love Manatius, and his chapters are really
he's
great.
Like a little bit. He's like, oh, woe is me. I am the Tsar of this great nation.
Yeah. And like Irina is so much smarter than him in terms of like politicking stuff, and like they'll be talking about it, and he just gets bored of the conversation. He's like, "Oh, just shut up, fine. We'll do what you want."
And I love how anytime he refers to her, he's like, "My darling wife." my beautiful wife. And like the way the audiobook narrator reads it is just so good. It's awesome.
Yeah.
He honestly becomes a really sympathetic character. And again, you're presented to him and he's just this foppish, annoying guy who's super into himself, who has a demon inside of him and it wants to kill Irina. And you're like, fuck that guy. And he easily could be a mustache twirling villain, but he isn't. He has so much depth.
No. Yeah, because underneath this, like every now and then he sneaks in and he doesn't spell it out for you, but he sneaks in this reflection of like, oh, this is, I'm using humor, I'm using all of these things as armor, all these trappings are just to protect me from the deep soul destroying realization that my life is hopeless. I'm stuck in this forever and I'm surrounded by shitheads who will all just try to suck my blood. And
it wasn't his choice. His mother, we learned from his point of view, and he eventually tells him and Irina have a spat, and he tells her,
she's like, you chose this, and you, the reader, think most of the book that like he made a deal with this demon. He was like a stupid decision, but
No, his mother made the deal and then promised her unborn child to the demon. And so he came out the womb with a fucking demon in him. This has been his life forever, constantly used.
Yeah, if anyone has earned having a persecution complex, it's probably him.
It is. And it's just like, it makes him such a, and there's this point where he sees Irina as someone also using him as a pawn and who doesn't see him as a human, and is just like, there's one point where he's like, she's making deals with the demon inside me, not me. And then she knows that in killing the demon, because there's this point where afterwards he's after the Star King is captured, he's like, I don't know that you wanted me to die in this as well. And Irina doesn't want him to die necessarily. She wants to get that fucking demon. And again, she thinks he made the deal.
Yeah, and he gives her this, you probably have another old man for a husband lined up and waiting and your whole life planned out. And she does.
And she
has reflected on it already.
And when you were in her point of view, you were like, get it, my practical queen. And then from his point of view, you're like, oh my God, this is fucking tragic, my dude.
No one would like to be him in that moment. Like, no one would like to be that.
And no one values him in and of himself outside of him as a czar or him with the demon inside him. No one, and it's just, something's going to happen at the end of the book that's going to, God.
No one has ever valued him as a human, and it's such a beautiful setup for later.
Yes. Any other little things before I continue with the plot that has happened thus far?
That was the last one I wanted to slide in there before we keep going. Yeah.
Okay. So they end up taking the Stark to the little cabin that was in the woods from earlier. And the Star King, because it's spring now, he is not doing well. Hymns is starting to melt. And so they put him in the cellar, and there's this great point where Miriam's like, is there a cellar? And Sergei's like, I'll check.
Oh.
And she's like, as if he had already looked and there wasn't one, and now there was going to be one. And you're like, Miriam, you don't know the half of it. Like, you're coming in halfway on this story. And they're like, can you get to the Stark? And he's like, I can't make the road under green trees. I can't make the King's Road, the Stark Road. I need a piece of my world here. And he's like, there's something in here from my realm. I feel it.
I can sense it.
And I forgot to mention this earlier, but way back before Sergei and Wanda had to run away because they killed their dad and Stefan went to the Mendelstons, the tree that has their mom's spirit touched all of them, but it gave Stefan a little white nut that he's had, and he was like, I'll plant it, and then Mama will be with us as well, because his mother's in the tree, but that tree is a Stark tree. It's his mom. So he gets this nut, and he has it, and you, the reader, know it's the nut. Like, the whole time you're like, Stefan's got that fucking tree nut, or at least I did, on the first read. But he's like,
it's such an obvious Chekhov's gun. You're like, when is this gonna go off?
When is it? And so when he starts looking for it, and everybody's like, is this it? Is this it? And when I tell you the amount of world building in these little moments where she presents these items, and he was like, and have me stuck in the wastelands, because she showed these black glass things, and then there's other thing, and he was like, poison or cure, what does it matter? And like, so we have no idea what these items are.
No explanation, just these little like things, and it's so funny because he's like tearing apart. He's opening doors in this house that weren't not there before, like. And like opening like cabinets, he's like, they're like, was that a cabinet there before? And he's like tearing it apart, like, and he's like, yeah, of course, there's always a door there.
Yeah, and it's funny because then the humans are like, somebody hold the door open while we go in and check for stuff in case. And then eventually he's like, so he's not doing well. He's fallen. Also, his leg got hurt earlier. He's not doing great. And then he's like, I don't know what to do, guys. Like, we're kind of at the end of the rope. And then Stepan, who's like on the oven, is like, it's the Slavic style ovens that you're supposed to sleep on top of, so he's not just like on top of an oven. Like, nobody's cooking Stepan here. Anyway, he's on top of the oven and he's like, I have this, and it's the nut from the white tree. And the king is like, that's from my world, how do you have that? And Stepan's like, well, my mom was in a tree and she gave it to me. And he's like, there's no way your mom, he's like, that's the specific type of star tree. How much how much blood did you give that tree to make it fruit? And Wanda's like, 5 dead babies and my mother. And the Star King realizes, oh, this tree did give him this fruit, and it is their mother. It is their past. It is their family. It is the potential of all those dead babies. It is the potential of their mother that was cut across. And he can't take it because Stepan's like, here, take it. And he can't take it because, and at multiple points prior to this point, if anybody offers the Star King help, he can't take it without offering what he's going to give in return. Because again, if you take something from someone and don't offer something back immediately, you have now become a bonds person to them. And it's this huge thing. And obviously Star King's not going to do that here. So he has to give you something of equal value. And there is nothing he can ask for that equals the value of that fucking nut to this child. And because like Miriam's mom is like, here, take it. And he's like, I and then they give it to Miriam, and Miriam's like, I'm going to do it. I'll do it. You don't have to do it. Tell me what I have to do. And he's like, it needs to be planted in winter. And like, they couldn't plant it in the soil outside because it's spring soil. And then she's like, what can I do? And then she kind of connects, because they also realize, while all of this was happening, Chernobog, the demon in Manatius's body, gets back to Irina and is like, Irina, you betrayed me. The Stark is gone. Now I'm going to eat you. And she's like, no. The deal said I would give you the Stark, which I did. He was there when I said he would be. And you don't fuck with me and mine. And the entire time the demon's like, do you want riches? Do you want beauty? Do you want a crown? And Irina's like, I don't want shit from you, motherfucker. I know what your things get. I just want you. You get this thing. Leave me and mine alone. And so then she's like, well, what if I take you to where the Stark is? Like, I'll let you into the Stark lands. And he's like, beautiful, done. So she takes Chernobog into the Stark lands. Chernobog immediately is like, ooh, party time. And back in the little hut, the Stark King is like, oh my God, Chernobog is in my kingdom. Like, fuck. And he starts not, because it starts getting even warmer. And he starts getting warm. And so he's not doing too great. And they're like, oh, holy crap. And then she realizes Miriam realizes the only way Chernobog could have gotten into the Stark lands, the only person I know who can get in and out of it besides the Stark King is Irina. So Irina must have let him in. Maybe she's here, because the last place she came through was this little cabin. So she goes out to the water basin that her and Irina had set up previously, and she shoves her hand in it, hoping that, because one of the things about this house is if you need something, it will appear. Like, it's a very like room of requirement type thing. And so she's like, maybe the weird coincidental fantastic magic of this place will connect me to Irina. And she throws her hand in, and previously we had a scene
she knows that Irina has been using reflective surfaces to kind of go through.
And Irina, in a scene previously, we got Irina's perspective where she stuck her hand in to check something, and then all of a sudden another hand grabbed her hand, shoved something inside it, and she comes out with a white nut. And so Irina realizes, oh, I need to, like, someone gave this to me, I need to do something. And she's like, it's a nut, let me try plant it. And so she like literally breaks her fingers, tearing into the winter earth to plant this thing into the ground. So Irina does that. We're back with Miriam and the Stark. And Miriam's like, I sent it through. It's in the Winterlands. What do we do? And he's like, you need to call forth the tree. And she's like, how the fuck do I do that? I don't know magic. And then her dad's like, we could do the Jewish springtime, like, may the trees have good fruit harvest prayer. And they're like, fuck it, let's try it. So they gather and they say the prayer over the spot where there was like some soil in the yard. And the tree just starts growing out of the ground. And Stepan's like, woo, mom! But it's also a prayer to help spirits move on. So the tree comes up. The Star King is able to get them back into the lands. And now we're at the final climax, guys. It's time for Starrick v. Chernobog battle. And as he's going off and one of his stags come out of the trees, he goes to Miriam, because when she freed him, she was like, you have to promise that you'll stop making it. If we help you defeat Chernobog, you have to promise to stop trying to make eternal winter and let the seasons be. And he's like, yeah, if Chernobog's dead, absolutely. He's why I've been doing this. And so he was like, we made this deal to solve this together. Will you provide your aid? And she's like, what the fuck can I do? And then she's like, I have thought that this whole time, and I've actually done quite a lot of things. So I guess you just have to pretend, and then it happens, which has been magic thus far in the book. So she gets up on the thing, and they go off, and he like immediately is like, I'm gonna deal with Chernobog. You patch up the mountain, because the mountain. The big problem, the reason why the Star King has been increasing winter is the mountain has this paint, like this big glass front surface that is cracked. When Chernobog became crowned as Tsar and thus was given power over the kingdom, it affected the Stark lands. And so when it's not winter, water rushes out of the mountain into the rest of the world, and that is the lifeblood of this mountain kingdom of the Starrick. And so by making it winter when the water is frozen, because they can't repair the glass, they can't close that up, so the only way to keep the water from rushing out is just to make it winter 24/7, 365. So he's like, you close up the mountain face, Miriam, I'll fight him. And so Miriam runs in, she finds Chauffeur, they're like, what do we do? And there's all the silver that they had piled in. Some of it is falling out as the river has now turned into water, spilling out onto Chernobog, who's literally just sitting under the waterfall like, woohoo! Happy days! In this scene, Chernobog just feels like a giant. Have you seen the fat dragon in the Dungeons and Dragons, the recent Dungeons and Dragons movie? That came out. Like,
oh God!
Yeah, there's that really fat dragon who's like like he can still burn you, but he's just a giant fat dragon. That's kind of the vibes.
That's the energy.
Yeah, and so the Stark starts fighting him, and Miriam's like, the Chernobog hates sunlight. I can turn silver into gold, which is capturing within this realm. It is literally capturing sunlight into the silver and thus keeping it out of the outside world, which is what I forgot to mention this earlier, but when the Stark was like, wow, you turned all the gold into my storerooms, or all the silver in my storerooms into gold, one of the reasons he was so happy was because it made it winter in the middle of spring. Like, it was June and it was a full winter's day because she put so much gold sunlight inside their castle in these storerooms. And thus she physically took it from the human world and put it here. And so she was like, Chernobog doesn't like sunlight. And like you see and again, we've seen this whole book. Miriam has looked at a situation, assessed it, found a weak point, and maneuvered pieces into the way she needs it. So she goes to the crack in the mountain face and she's like, Chernobog, you fucking asshole. I'm a kill you, buddy. And he was like, absolutely not. And so he comes up. He climbs the mountain face, he comes in, and he goes to attack her. She changes, and he's all in, and because he's hot and molten, the silver starts sticking to his body and becoming like this molten armor as it sticks to him. And she touches the coolest part that's still melted in with the rest of it and turns the whole thing into gold. And sunlight just blasts into the cavern, and Chernobog's like being like strips of his outer layer are just getting taken off chunk by chunk, which exposes the molten heat inside him, which burns the glass. It burns the gold, so it melts the gold, but the glass that was on the outside of the mountain also heats up and fuses back together with the gold inside it. And Chernobog literally, there's this one point where she says, she stole my heat to repair the mountain. And it's just this fantastic scene and culmination of all these little breadcrumbs we've had. Chernobog, like the last little piece of him, like kind of flops out before the mountain closes and goes whee all the way down. And then the Star King is like, he comes up and he's like, you may be choosing to live, because one of the requirements for doing this is that he lets Miriam go, and she gets to live in the sunlit, like the human world, and he can't force her to stay. And he's like, you might be choosing to live in the sunlit world, baby, but you a fucking Stark queen. Because previously she asked, what does it take to be a Stark queen? And he said, like, to make winter in the middle of summer's day, to do something else, I forgot what the other thing was, and then to repair the crack in the mountain. And like, Miriam did all of it.
Like,
and unfortunately,
so cool.
when she chose to come in to save them and like do this thing and defeat Chernobog, she now has to stay because he has agreed. One of their requirements was he cannot make it winter when it's not supposed to be winter anymore. And so it's not winter, so he can't take her back to her realm until the first day of winter. And so she tells her family before they go off to do this grand thing, like, look for me on the first day of winter. Chernobog goes back to Irina, and he's like, I'm going to eat you. Twice you did things, and then it didn't go well for me. And she's like, I kept my promise. You can't touch me and mine. And he tries to harm Margrethe and Irina, and it can't. It burns him, and he realizes, oh crap, she has done this thing. She's given me what I wanted. This is all she asked for. I got nothing in return. He physically cannot touch or harm her people, anyone that is considered hers. And then a maid walks in and is like, oh shit, deer in the headlights, freezes, and he goes to attack her and also can't do her. And he's like, I only agreed to protect you and your people. And she's like, I'm a fucking queen, baby.
I'm Serena, bitch.
All
these people are mine.
All these people are mine. And he's like, oh, fuck you. And he's like, I'll just go somewhere else. And he turns himself back into Monotius. And she walks up to him and she goes, you can't have him either. He's mine as well. And she's like, he's like, no, he was given to me. And she's like, you made him marry me. And a wife's something, I forgot what the term is, but like a wife's claim is greater than a mother's claim. And she puts the Stark silver ring on Monotius's finger, and he like throws up this lump of coal that is Chernobog. And then the like scullery maid that was there just throws a thing of soot and sand on top of him and just squelches him out. Like, just done. And it's such a silly thing where, if you've ever seen the movie Spirited Away, there's this thing where there was this demon inside, there's the like little like terrible poison guy inside of this dragon dude, and when it gets thrown up, it goes to scuttle away, and the main character just steps on it, and later they're like, what did you do to my curse? And she's like, I squashed it. And she like, and it's that energy where the scullery maid like squashed her, like just put him out, and everybody's like, okay. But in that moment, Irina chose Monotius and like labeled him as hers, and because this scene is also told through Margrethe's point of view, it's not told from Irina's point of view, and she looks at them, and it's so great because you wouldn't be able to say this, like this scene wouldn't work from Irina's point of view. It works so well from Margrethe's because she looks at them, and Monotius is now holding Irina's hands to his chest. And finally looking at her the way everybody else who has been enchanted by her, and she's not wearing any of her Stark silver at all. And he is looking at her the way everyone else did when she was wearing her enchanted Stark silver. And you're like, oh, this guy is fallen. This marriage gonna get fucking consummated. And
this is the last scene, we get of Irina. But I love it. I was like, oh, ooh.
Yeah, like immediately it just sails up and become one of the best romances you've read, even though it's not really a romance. It's one of those really rare slow burns where the characters build an emotional connection, and then that starts to become something, and then it becomes love, and you're like, oh, I feel this in my heart.
And that's one of the things I said in our first Spinning Silver review, is that this isn't really the romance portion. This is the part of the slow burn where they finally get to the point. Yeah, this is where they finally get to the point where they can fall in love with each other. And that's the rest of the story, and versus a normal romance where it's them falling in love with each other and then getting together. This is like, no, we're going to show you how two people get to the point where they can be in love.
Yeah,
and
it's like, he found a girl who will fight for him.
And claim him, and not because he has a demon inside of him anymore, but just because it's so good. It's so good, and it just makes me so happy.
Even particularly because he's a Tsar and she wants to be a Tsarina, but just because she wants to claim him.
and she's a good person, and he hasn't met a lot of good people, and it's just such a great scene. And then we have Wanda, Sergei, and Stepan and the Mendelstoms almost final scene, but their kind of chapter where like they've Sergei and Wanda go to the little town that they all lived in because the Tsar pardoned Wanda and Sergei for their crimes and said basically you can go into the woods and pick any plot of land that's not occupied by anyone, and as much as you can make use of is yours. And so they're like, we're going to that little house. Sergei and Wanda were like, that was a really cool house. We're going there. So they make that.
And there's a really cute moment where Stefan is like, Wanda, can we please invite like the mom and dad too? They could come too. And Wanda's like, yeah, I guess we could invite them. And Stefan's like,
yeah, and she's like, that's a fantastic idea. It's such a good idea. I would never have had it.
But, yeah. And when they ask him at first, they're like, "Oh no, we have our house." And Miriam's like, "You don't own that house. The Boyers own it. Absolutely, you should go live with them."
What do you mean your house? It's some other dude's house, and he wouldn't sell it to you for gold anyways. Like, fuck the house.
Build a life that is yours. And so Sergei and Wanda go to the little village. They bring notes from Panov Mendelstam, the Miriam's father, that say, "Hey, everyone that owed us money, we've come into some really good luck. We're waiving your debt. Congratulations." Sergei and Wanda get all this stuff. They get the goats. They get all the things. And it's this really great scene where, because for some reason, everybody in the village thought they were dead. And they were like, "Oh, guys, you aren't dead. And you've been pardoned. Come have a drink." Except for Kajas, because Kajas doesn't show up because he knows he fucked up. And it's this beautiful scene. And they go back and Stepan now refers, actually, no, not Stepan. Wanda refers to Panov and Panova Mendelstam, which was basically Sir and Ma'am Mendelstam, Mrs. and Mr. She calls them Papa and Mama Mendelstam now, and it's so fucking cute. And this is like at the end where Irina and Minatius have their moment, and then during this scene and watching these two people who have had nothing, they go back to their house, they bury their father. Their mother is no longer in the tree.
They're like about to leave, and they're like, "Shit, do you think Dad's still on the floor?" And then they're like, if we don't go back, he's always going to be on the floor. Even if it's just in our heads. They go back, he is on the floor.
And so they bury him. They go to the tree, and their mother's spirit isn't in the tree anymore. She's moved on. And she's like, but that's okay, because we now have Mama Mendelstam, and she will speak. Because there's a point earlier where Panov Mendelstam says, "I'm not your mother, but let me speak as her for you." And it's this beautiful scene. And so to hear her say it now, you're just like, oh my God, like, and because she believes it, and she sees, and it's just this beautiful scene. And then so they're building their life together. Everybody misses Miriam, but they're able to bond with each other, share their grief and everything. Then we get Miriam's last chapter, which is our girl. They've defeated Chernobog, but Chernobog made damage. We don't got a lot of food. Some of the streams that they had fish in were taken down. Where they planted shit, all gone. They've buried people, they've taken care of some stuff, and now they're rebuilding, and there's a lot of work to be done. Our Star King is in pure white laborer's clothes out here putting in the work with his people, and they're rebuilding, and she's like, and I brought to them record keeping, because they kind of just were vibing, and she's like, and we had so little food that we had to ration it, and I didn't want anyone to go hungry, and it's like, it gets to a point where, like, at first there's so much to do, and then it starts slipping away so fast, and as winter is coming, and that's when she gets to go back to her, there's you get this bittersweet note of, like, she's built a life here, she's made friends. There's a little note about how there was a dress she's taking with her that she wore on the Midsummer Dance, which was a couple of weeks or like a month after everything happened with Chernobog, and she danced with her, like, with Sop, Fleck, and Chauffeur, and all of her new friends she had made, and like the Star King was there, and there's even a point where she was like, and like, nothing happened, but like I thought about it, and it's just as beautiful, and when she's leaving, the entire court, like all the Stark, have lined up in their best finery to take her. The king, even though he's been in laborer's clothes for a lot recently, he is dressed to the nines. He puts her in the sleigh, and then everybody escorts her to her parents' house, and she's sad as she's leaving, and then she sees her family, and she's so happy, and they're hugging, and everybody is having a great time, and then our boys, Sergei and all of them now have a dog, but then the dog kind of goes back, and she turns around and she thought the Stark would stay behind the gate, and the Stark King has come into the gate along with Fleck, Sop, Chauffeur, and little Rebecca, our girl's goddaughter, and they're all holding chests, and he puts them all down and he opens them, and he's like, hi, I'm the Stark King. You have an unmarried daughter in your house. I have all of this stuff. I've got a kingdom. I've got a forest. I'd like to court your daughter. And she was like, Miriam's like, this motherfucker.
She's like, you have been doing this the whole time.
6 months and you said nothing. And then she's like, and now he's going to court me as correctly for Stark laws as possible. And she goes, no, if you want to court me, you're going to have to do it by my family's rules and my customs. And she's like, that should put an end of it. That guy's not going to do it. And he's like, okay, what's up? And you're like, oh my God. Because she's like, as a Jewish person, my kids need to be Jewish. So you know that this guy's going to have a Jewish wedding and everything. and he's like, let's do it. And then there's this beautiful, and it's such a like sweeping statement where 2 weeks later we were married in a ceremony. My grandfather and grandmother came. They bought the canopy and the mirror and the glass to be broken. And we were married. And then we wrote our names in my family's book. And the Stark King wrote his name, his true name. And I'll never tell you what it is. And that's
line. And it's such a banger.
It was one of the best ending quotes.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And after when Miriam was doing her stint in the kingdom for this last bit, it's very much she's bringing her math magic to her logical math magic to these fae creatures who are like, oh, we've never thought about it. It's so fun. It's so delicious. Ugh.
And the characters are themselves and they grow, but they're still themselves. Sometimes you have these stories where you start with one character and then they are either exactly the same and have not changed at all, or they feel like they've suddenly become a different person.
And they become someone so vastly divorced from who they used to be that it doesn't feel rewarding. It just feels like
when you step into power and you suddenly become this feminist princess who is it just the logical through line of all the characters is it makes so much sense and it's so well crafted. There are a couple of things thematically that I thought were going to come up more, the names specific, naming.
Yeah.
That when she first got married to the Stark King and she was giving Fleck and Sop and Chauffeur their names was around the same time that we got our first Step-on chapter, and it was sort of introduced that he wasn't very good at math, but he remembered everyone's names. And I thought that was going to come up a little bit more in his chapters.
Yeah.
Like in the naming magic kind of a thing, or a certain kind of memory. And I wish we'd gotten a little bit more of that.
I agree, because it is this really fantastic point where he's, people discount Step-on, but he remembers things really well to the point where based on the day of the week, he remembers from what Wanda said who she would collect houses, whose houses she would go collect from for Miriam, and he goes and does it. And they're like, how did you know? And he just and it is, because it is a kind of magic. And the beauty of this book is it makes so many mundane things magical. We didn't have time to go into it, but there's that beautiful tapestry, the mattress cover that they make in the, and just how this simple mundane work takes on magic and also becomes magic by virtue of these two women working on it in a parallel timeline to each other. I sometimes wish we got more from Step-on, because there are some really unique perspectives from him, but alas, there's no time.
Yeah, that was my main thing. I was I wish, because I really thought there was going to be something, because the name thing in his chapter, again, they happened at the same time, and I thought we were going to do something
with it.
But I loved this book so much. It was such a comforting joy to read. It perfectly paced, in my opinion. No complaints.
No complaints.
A few complaints.
A few. Ooh, what are your complaints? Let's hear them. Levy them to the board.
if I were to give a critical assessment of the book, I would say that all of the parts function individually. Like every story arc has a beginning, a middle, and a close. Even Stepan, who's more of a, he comes in a little later on. Like his arc is so very clearly that, you know, he misses his mum, he wants a family, he wants a home, he wants the same future, and his arc is finding that in an unexpected way. My one criticism is that the stories told in the book are rather different from each other. It's perhaps a little bit George R. Martin, where the parallel stories don't always feel like they blend perfectly. But even so, like, I could make an argument that we could skip a few of these POVs and the story will still function as the story functions today. But that said, the way the book is now, it's just so thoroughly enjoyable to read the whole way through. And how many books can we really say that for?
I wish Katie was still here, because in a lot of ways it kind of reminds me of reading The Witcher, just because there are a lot of POV switches in the Witcher novels as well, and all of them do something, even if it's not immediately like relevant. You're like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? Like just plopped in out of nowhere, but it builds the world in such a beautiful way, and it just fleshes things out, and like just enhances the experience of reading it. I'm like, I know this world better because I got this perspective character. So I was like, yum, delicious food.
Nom, nom.
And in one way, it kind of leaves you thinking that there could be more. Like, maybe the obvious solution isn't to cut things to make the book more cohesive. Maybe it would be to make it even bigger.
Or to, for me, I love a series. Like, give me more in this world, Novik.
Yeah.
It just, because of how, like, personal all the perspectives are, the world feels so big.
And it's fully realized. Like, it doesn't feel like Fantasylandia. There's enough of it that feels like our world, but also feels very unique and specific to this. I would say one of the greatest crimes is the fact that in her freaking short story collection, instead of getting an actual short story that was just set in this world, that could have, I don't know, maybe told us how our girl Irina and Menatius are doing, or give me a scene with Stepan doing something. Just anything to give me a short story of what was happening with the Star King and our girl Miriam. Like, give me the Midsummer Dance as a short story. Anything. No, she just put the short story version of this in, and I was so freaking, now at the time I was like, that's fine, but now that I've reread this, all the potential to work in this world, and you just gave us the short story version. No way. I'm so angry.
There's so much to explore. Now you just have to go angry write fan fiction.
Honestly, it's the first time in years, maybe a decade, that I've been like, I want to go see if there is some good spinning silver fan fiction out there.
I bet there is.
Yeah.
Oh, what a joke. Thank you for, I probably wouldn't have read this on my own, honestly, but what a fun one.
I'm so glad you guys got to, I mean, for those of us that reread it, and I'm so glad you got to read it for the first time, Val, and it was just, the first time I read this book, nobody else had read it. No one. I was just in isolation. I had discovered this excellent book, and I had I read that ending and had no one to squee to. You know, like I was just.
I remember you in your. I watched your first review this morning, and you saying like, my mom hated this book.
She did. Like, she literally was like, I couldn't get through it. It was very boring, and I was like, because I didn't think that was going to be the reaction at all. And then I read reviews and I realized lots of people think this book is very boring. And I was like, that just so isn't my experience. And then I also had that with one of my favorite Ursula K. Le Guin books, where I've had two people I love. They've been like, oh, what's one of your favorite books? And I recommend it. And they were like, kind of boring, bro. And then they didn't finish it. And I'm like,
did did you read to the part where the magic happens?
Yeah. Or like any of the cool ass scenes, and like you didn't think learning how the Miriam learned how to barter and to become a merchant was cool, because I did.
Yeah, like the book opens with that, and it's such a fetching and compelling open because it instantly gives you a girl who takes fate into her own hands. And it also introduces like her internal conflict of like, what is this going to turn me into? Am I good or bad? Like, does this reflect on my character in any way, or am I just being fair because it seems like I'm just being fair? All of that is just there right away.
It's a matter of calibrating to a book. Sometimes I think if you've been reading a lot of one kind of book, sometimes it's really hard to like, it takes a minute to adjust your brain to the right settings to really let yourself enjoy like a book like this.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just a timing thing. But
and I think some people are naturally less inclined to enjoy a character study, and in a way, this whole book is a long character study of several characters.
It functions like a slice of life, where the things that make a slice of life story work, the small scale everyday tasks that take on greater meaning, the interpersonal relationships, that being like the heart of the story. And now this has grandly high stakes, where a normal slice of life story, the stakes are not world ending or demons and like Star Kings, but it's like if a slice of life had stakes and was a fantasy, and so I guess for people who don't like slice of life stories, like someone who liked ACOTAR, I don't necessarily know. And so to put in perspective, my mom really liked, and I did not feel the same way, Leigh Bardugo's Grisha verse.
Oh God, I hate Shadow and Bone.
Yeah, she liked the other two, the duology that came second more.
Six of Crows, yeah.
She liked Six of Crows a lot. And I look at that and I go, okay, if you liked that, I can see why this wouldn't be your cup of tea. There is a plot movement and you're not spending a lot of time, as much as I did find some of the characters navel-gazing in this. And, like, that's the thing. Even though the characters are thinking through things, it never feels like navel-gazing in this. I mean, Menotius a little bit, but, like, that guy loves staring at his own navel and thinking about
but it's a joke. Like, it's funny.
Exactly. And that's why it works. But it's one of those where, like, I have found, my mom's reaction, I really started reading some of the reviews, and the amount of people that were just like, meh, boring, not as good as some of her other work. And I was like, because like I love Uprooted, and I think objectively Uprooted is a better book. I love this book more. This book scratches an itch, a emotional core that just
it scratches my Russian plastic.
Has kind of an episodic kind of nature to it that this book there's like a very specific parts to it, but they're both cozy in a way that I think a lot of like cozy fantasy like completely misses the mark on, because it's not a lack of stakes that makes something cozy. It's not no conflict and just easy. Like,
no, like the guy who wrote
the day to day. Like it's about this.
The guy who wrote about the lattes, he should read this book and take notes, because
because there's a real exhaustion, I think, with cozy fantasy where people are just like, it's all just kind of happy flowers and nothing ever really happens. Yeah. And it's like, no, that's not the cozy part of it. That's not
conflict that it completely forgets anything that makes it engaging.
Yes, and this has conflict. It has stakes. It has like tense moments. There are points where you're like, oh my God, how is this going to go? Like reading it the first time was just such a joy. And I enjoyed it every time, but it is fundamentally just cozy. This book is a warm blanket. It is a fireplace with a cup of hot cocoa, and there's a storm outside, and the storm might be a little scary, but you're protected in your warm night. Like, it's so, just read this book. For my birthday, read it.
For Maria's birthday, everyone.
Yeah. Read it for Maria. Come on.
Yes.
You know you want
He's
to.
so mad at us for going for 3 hours.
I know. And he's like, I wasn't going to edit this, and he's going to have to. This has been a pleasure. Thank you both. And I don't know the next time we have a book together because I haven't even looked at the schedule outside of I think I have to read that other book for
It'll
next
happen
week.
someday.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all right.
It'll be
Adieu.
Adieu.
Bye.